Paul, and go Raiders. Good morning. Well, the script played itself out.
Thanks, Benny. Feeling good.
Did you pound the jugs all day?
Dayquil, NyQuil.
That's what I meant.
All day long.
There you go.
Did it for 2 straight days. I feel better. I don't know about you. I don't get sick that often. When I do, I try to fix it right the F away.
Well, and because you and I don't take a bunch of stuff, that stuff has always worked on me too.
Because I had a serious cough Sunday morning, just like where your back hurts and you're just ugh.
Ugh.
Oh, look at Felipe. What happened to you?
Uh-oh.
What?
What's going
Your
on?
hair's gone.
I had it cut yesterday. It
Huh.
was cut yesterday in the morning.
So after the show, though.
No.
It was that short
Saturday.
yesterday? What are you doing? What are you doing to my hair? You get that great hair.
Did you notice it yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Remember,
he was yesterday.
Remember, he was on the Dayquil, NyQuil. He was drugged up.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's terrible.
As soon as it started bothering me, I was going to do it, and it started bothering me. So,
what is Dave Portnoy up to? What's his problem with the Savannah Bananas?
I know.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you as we're about 2/3 of the way through the month. Hope your week got off to a good start yesterday. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us on this Tuesday morning. You were a little under the weather at this time yesterday. How are you this morning, Mark?
Doing well. The folks at Dayquil and NyQuil should be thanked for all the fine work they've done over the years, and they took care of me over the last 48 hours as I was slurping that stuff down every 4 hours as quickly as I could.
Nice. Well done. Well played. And so did you go to bed about a halftime then?
Exactly when I went to bed. I'm watching halftime, and I think the third quarter is about to start. I'm like, what am I doing awake right now for this?
I was asking the very same question.
So was Troy often on the air. I mean, when the second quarter started, he said, we got to play 4 of these. I thought they kind of let everybody know what they thought of preseason football at that moment.
And then by the end, he said, this is the greatest preseason game I've ever been a part of. At which point, I think it was the producer said in his ear, this is the only preseason game you've ever been a part of. And he joked about that. He said, no, I've been a part of a few. So, but it played out. The script played out, Mark. Drama. The 24-game winning streak on the line. Baltimore unable to put Washington away. Jake Fromm off the bench, returning to his glory days at Georgia. I don't know. Just run with it. Ravens had him 4th and long. Commit a pass interference penalty. The drive continues. And eventually, with the goofy new owner on the sidelines, they kick a 49-yard field goal at the gun, and down goes Frazier. The streak is over.
All right. Can I ask you a question about Mr. Harris there?
Yes.
Because he was up in the booth. I don't know if you met him. I don't know if he, did the whole rounds and introduced himself to everyone.
He stood, I'm on the far right side of the booth. He was standing at the beginning of a drive on the far left side, and the drive wouldn't stop. And finally, it was like, there's less than 3 minutes to go in the half. We got to get the billionaire in. So we kind of brought him in and hi. So no, I never greeted him, shook his hand, nothing.
All I know is that I listened to his interview,
Mm-hmm.
and it proves to me that anybody can become a billionaire if they work hard enough. I did not work hard enough, so I don't deserve to be a billionaire. You know me, David. I don't begrudge money. I've never begrudged anybody that has money. Good for him. He's a very wealthy man. He owns sports teams. That's all great.
Right.
But he was having a hell of a time putting together a sentence last night, it seemed. Now, and he didn't sound drunk or anything. And I'm not accusing of being under the influence or like that, but he didn't come off as a polished owner. He came off as a super fan,
right?
Which that may be, hey, look, it's better than what they had. So I don't want anybody out there that's a Washington whatever fan, because they're not going to be the Commanders anymore. But I don't want anybody to think that I'm not happy for them. They deserve a new owner. I just was shocked that this guy had $6 billion, let alone $60.
Well, he did come across a little goofy, didn't he?
Goofy?
Yeah.
Damn right he did.
A little goofy. But, hey, he's not Daniel Snyder, so his honeymoon, I mean, 2-3 years easy. Easy. I mean, if this year doesn't go well, he didn't hire the coach and draft the quarterback, so that's easy. And then, the year one with the new regime, he'll get a pass on that. I mean, I don't even know if the guy's got an answer, an email before 2025. No, he's on easy street, baby. Things go bad. He could send Magic out there, do a press event or what have you, turn the tide. Oh, sure. Absolutely. But he did come across a little goofy. I don't know if you caught. We put a graphic up on the screen about, who he is and, what he did to become the owner. And I have to admit, I thought it was pretty funny. Joe and Joy were pretty relaxed last night. And Joe goes, 6.05 billion, huh? Had to throw in the 05?
That was the best part. Might have been the highlight of the broadcast, David. And that's why I actually liked Harris there, because he's like, you got to rub it in, huh? You got to rub in the 0.05. That was a fun exchange.
I have to admit, though, I mean, when you think about it, so 6 billion wouldn't get it done. You had to throw in the extra 50 million. And on the way home, I was thinking about it. Daniel Snyder did get fined, 50, 60 million by the NFL. So maybe they all knew it was coming, and Mr. Harris had to pick up the fine. I don't know. But what I'm guessing is there was another bid on the table for 6. And they said, you've got to throw in a few dollars more. Okay, we'll give it to you, but it has to be the highest bid. So, but yes. So anyway, I'll tell you what, though, for coaches saying the streak doesn't matter and what have you, boy, were they both coaching like this was a regular season game.
I don't think they can help it when it comes late in the fourth quarter. I don't think it's in their DNA to just go easy, if you know what I mean.
So all I know is that the Ravens had been bet down to a 1-point favorite at kickoff. So it was 28-26, it was still a win and a cover for Baltimore, but ultimately the Commanders won, and that'll be our only preseason game. And we'll see you in a little less than 3 weeks for Bills Jets. I don't know if you've heard, Mark, there's a lot of hype around the Jets.
David, I don't know if you're aware, but it's Super Bowl or bust for the Jets.
Apparently, which is funny because I didn't think Aaron Rodgers was only committed for 1 year. I thought they had 2-3 runs at this sucker. I mean, he said it a few times. Hell, he just the other day said, this is how I want the quarterback position to go for this franchise for the next 15 or so years. I'll play till I'm done, and I'll hand it off to my buddy over here. I like him. Good-looking young kid. I like him.
He brings me the younger women, and I bring him the older women. We've got this all worked out between the two of us.
Wow. You guys say you like this Joe Namath thing. I mean, from what I've been able to research, that's how he did it. So, we're going to try it here. See if it works. So, hey, I have a question. I thought Jim Harbaugh was coaching every game this year. What happened?
All right. Didn't know you were going here this early. and
Well,
I'm fine with it
I'm just
because
curious.
I'm really curious of this whole situation because, David, as you well know, Michigan's never gotten in any trouble.
Correct.
There are a lot of people in Ann Arbor that feel that's an important thing for the University of Michigan to always have done it the right way. But in today's day and age, why the hell Michigan is suspending their coach is beyond me.
I'm totally with you.
This is kowtowing to the NCAA, who has absolutely zero power. I think it's a bad look for Michigan. I would not have done it. I would not have advocated for it if I was anybody with power in Ann Arbor. It's a meaningless suspension, and everyone knows that. Now, whether or not the NCAA looks at this suspension and says this is enough, that's on them, and nobody knows what the hell they're going to do, and nobody really cares. But I would have fought this if I were Michigan. I would have backed my coach. I would not have thrown my coach out under the bus the way seemingly they did, and it's an insignificant bus that they threw him under. It's a 3-game suspension against horrible teams that Michigan's a 21-point-plus favorite in all 3 games. I don't get it. I think it's a bad look for the people in Ann Arbor, and they should be ashamed.
Angelque Chengelis covers the Wolverines. She'll join us in our 8 o'clock Eastern hour, and we'll ask her what the heck is going on. But, Mark, to further your point, you know, you had this FBI sting in college basketball like 4 or 5 years ago. Remember? Coaches,
Yes.
and, you know, the money and the brown paper bags.
And the bag man. I mean, they had the bag man who was giving up names.
Right. Sean Miller in Arizona. Tapes. Okay. Money. Exchanging hands. Dollar amounts and everything. Mark, does Sean Miller get suspended?
Hell no.
Okay. I mean, the hell, they had FBI tapes. I mean, usually the NCAA only has whatever Yahoo or Sports Illustrated or The Athletic has uncovered in one of their investigations. They had FBI tapes. Nothing happened to Sean Miller. Apparently, Bill Self and Kansas, okay, if they're not to be punished, then no one is to ever be punished again. And guess what, Mark? Has Bill Self in Kansas been punished?
Not that I'm aware of.
The University of North Carolina committed over 25 years of academic fraud. Academic fraud. You know, fake classes. Show up in this class when you feel like it and get an A. Classes that had well over 50% of the people in it being athletes. Mark, anything happened at the University of North Carolina over this?
Well, David, remember, because there were other students in there, it wasn't an athletic, it was an academic problem. This wasn't really athletics. They couldn't.
Well, wait, hold on a second, Mark. I thought Florida State lost an indoor track and field championship because 2 of the 30 kids on an online class, there was something wrong with the online class. And since there were 2 track and field athletes in that class, they had to give back a national championship because of an online course. No proof that any of the kids had done anything wrong, but there was something wrong with the course. But I'm just curious. Sean Miller in Arizona, Bill Self in Kansas, and the University of North Carolina.
Not a damn thing, David.
So I'm totally with you. This is one of those deals in which, hey, this is like the politician who don't know if the politician did something wrong, but the politician's involved in a nasty sounding scandal. But deep down, the politician and his or her advisors go, listen, your voters are going to reelect you. Okay. Just, you know, you'll be fine. You really will. It'll be awkward at times, but you're good. You'll go to the polls. You'll get 65% of the vote. Don't worry about it. I'm with you. Stunned.
Harbaugh, 3 games. We'll talk with Angelique Chengelis about it in the 8 o'clock hour. Pat Kirwan joins us in the 8 o'clock hour as well. And David Samson, And at 7 o'clock, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Paul, they didn't lose and cover. I said heading to the end, they were winning and they covering. But Baltimore kicked off as a 1-point favorite. So obviously they did not cover. So how is everybody this morning? Felipe, how you doing?
I'm all right.
He doesn't have any hair.
You are very upset about this.
He's got great hair. I'd never cut it if I was him. I'd have gone man bun before I'd have done that.
It's too humid and it gets too frizzy, Mark.
Wow. Getting a little attitude back from him there. He's just
There's a reason why I cut it. I have to cut the dead ends.
I have to
That ends.
It'll grow back.
I have to admit, I feel like we're doing role reversal here. I thought the spring heading into the summer started with the old guys saying you needed a haircut. Now here we are late in the summer. One of the old guys is going, "What are you doing cutting your hair?" And you're like,
I never said I'd never get a haircut if I was Felipe.
well, we urge
That's a
him.
great mop.
Don't we urge him to get a haircut when like his parents are coming?
You
into
do.
town? Well, that's true. I do. Absolutely, I do. And especially when he's going back over on their home turf. Absolutely. He needs to
Must be going to see. Well, no, he's got to work on the weekends. You don't even get to go home.
I don't know when I'm going to see them next. I just did it because my hair
Well,
was bothering me, and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm
dead
done.
ends, Mark. Dead ends. I'm guessing you have to work all through Labor Day weekend, right?
Yes.
Listen to that.
Welcome to television.
Welcome to low person on the pole.
Also, the Marlins lost last night, so that's
Wow. You and about 14
helping.
others taking that hard.
Mhm.
Good for you. Good for you. There you go. That's a fan right there. Yeah.
I stayed up to watch a little bit. As soon as it was 5-0, I was like, it's late. I need to go to bed.
Well, fortunately, it happened in the second inning. So
I know. I gave it.
gave it a good 30, 40 minutes. Didn't it?
Yeah. Then they made it 6-0.
Ooh, they're only 2 games above 500 too.
I know.
Ooh,
I know, and they're falling behind.
Well, tough August schedule.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Nice little show lined up, if we do say so ourselves. David Samson at the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan will join us for his weekly visit. And then beginning next week is when our regular guests, it's locked and loaded. All right, the season's underway. Pat will join us Tuesdays and Fridays. Bud Elliott will join us on Wednesdays. Lee Sterling every Friday morning. I mean, we just line them up, knock them down. Roy Cummings on a Thursday. The folks from Pro Football Network on a Thursday. Folks from College Football Network on a Wednesday. I think the South Florida football coach is going to join us for 10 minutes weekly. Alex Golish. I mean, we're lining them up and knocking them down, Mark. Guests are like bowling pins, baby.
what are you, Pete Weber over there?
No, just wasn't yesterday his birthday?
I missed it. Yeah, I missed that in the birthdays.
That's why his clip went viral. That dramatic strike to win what I think was their U.S. Open championship by a pin. All right. And he basically was saying, "I'm the man. You're not the man. I'm the man." If you're going to get excited about bowling, there you go. See, you and I are just old enough to remember when bowling was a Saturday afternoon staple, baby.
Well, it was Chris Schenkel's birthday yesterday, the late Chris Schenkel, who announced at many networks and did many things, but a lot of people would remember him doing
bowling. Yep. During the winter, spring, and summer, there'd be on ABC doing bowling with Marshall Holman Jr. It was like, who the heck's this guy? Never seen him before. One time, he actually made the television. Remember the Final Five made it to TV? One time, I actually remember Marshall Holman making it to the Final Five. I'm like, hey, look at that. The expert really can bowl.
I played golf with Marshall Holman in the celebrity event that was in Southwest Florida. He was fantastic. He couldn't have been a nicer guy, couldn't have been more fun, and a pretty good golfer.
Well, usually bowlers, if you're a pretty good bowler, you're a pretty good golfer. Hockey players are terrific golfers. Baseball players usually are terrific golfers. So, you know who is not usually terrific golfers? Golfers. I'm sorry, it was too easy. Oh.
Slap happy on a Tuesday. Get used to it, folks. He works
Yep.
Monday Night Football. This is what we get, that type of witty repartee here in the morning.
Hey, I got 4 hours sleep. That's a lot of sleep leading into a Tuesday show.
And you had to feel good because if you watched the open of Monday Night Football, you saw Lisa Salters talk about the streak that one David Moulton brought up in a production meeting. So you're in high regard, at least for a few members of that crew. I would think they actually all know who you are now.
Well, because I don't keep my mouth shut. So, yes, people do know who I am. I'm sure they've already formed their opinions in 1 year plus. But come on now. I mean, why else keep watching the game? I mean, the streak was on the line. I mean, heck, even Joe and Troy got into the streak by the second half. There's a streak on the line. Yeah, I've heard. I mean, so yeah.
And it all came to an end before the Bucs could try to end it next week as Washington beats Baltimore last night in the final week 2 preseason game.
The only bad thing about the game being so close until the end was that, all those people stuck around. It made getting out just a little bit harder because it's about a half hour from, D.C. to the stadium. So for those of us that are trying to get back and get to sleep, it's like, oh man, I did not want a close game. I wanted it, 31-13 and, 173 people in the stands in the fourth quarter. But anyway.
Marlins took one on the chin last night.
Well, see, it's what happens when this murderer's row of August scheduling, which they had handled pretty well, but they get swept in a doubleheader Saturday by the Dodgers, and then they play their game in San Diego last night, and they get whooped. So, a simple 3-game losing streak. And how many of those do you have during the course of a regular season? Like 6, 8? In a baseball season, but boy, you get one in the latter part of August, and it seems as if the roof's caving in.
With everybody that close, it will be a matter of who can just consistently keep their head above water the rest of the way and avoid these 3-game skids because they're going to be the difference between who makes the final wild card and who doesn't.
They're now the 9 seed, even though they're a game and a half out of the playoffs. They're the 9. 2 games are separating 5 teams in the standings in the National League for 2 playoff spots. I don't know. I actually find it kind of fun. I know none of these teams are any good, but that's all right. It's baseball. Crazy things happen in the postseason. Phillies weren't any good entering the postseason last year either. Next thing you know, they were up 2-1 in the World Series. So, I mean, those of us of a certain age watch the 06 Cardinals, the 87 Twins. I mean, it's like these teams aren't any good. World Series champions. Wait, what?
Get in the tournament, get a little luck, get a little good juju going your way. Anything can happen. But the Marlins with the little 3-game skid now find themselves looking up at a bunch of teams trying to get themselves back into the final spot in the playoffs. And I know it's murderer's row, but David, quite frankly, you got to take care of San Diego because they haven't proven they're anybody's murderer's row. And
No,
you
I know.
lose the first game of a series.
No, I know. I mean, the Padres are like a half a dozen games below 500, so you need to treat them as such, right? So, let's see if the Marlins can get to September. The schedule gets just a little more manageable in September. August, a very difficult schedule. They had done well until the last 72 hours. The Rays, after 2 days off, who gets 2 days off in mid-August? But the Rays did for a variety of reasons, including a rare West Coast hurricane. But hey, they'll take it, and they're back in action later today.
And I don't know, you The guys want to play every day. I hope this little 2-day layoff, because the bats have been going so well for the Rays. The last thing they need is 2 days off to cool off their bats, David, because the Rays have been hitting the ball terrifically over the course of the last 8-10 games. So hopefully that continues for Tampa, as they've been crushing the ball in trying to keep up with Baltimore, who just doesn't seem to want to lose ever.
No, Baltimore with a 3-game lead on the Rays, and we wonder, will the Orioles even lose 3 times the rest of the year? Them and the Braves are like, we're just toying with you guys. Could the Baltimore Orioles really go to the World Series? Man, that would be. I know a lot of Rays fans listen and what have you, but the owner doesn't deserve it. He proved himself to be a first-class jerk with the way he handled their broadcaster. But,
well, not only that, he said, we can't keep all these guys. We're going to have to raise prices. He's basically already said, I'm selling off all these parts too, because we'd have to raise prices to a ridiculous amount in order to keep these players. And we don't know if anybody would show up if we're doing that. This guy doesn't deserve a team.
No, the fan base does.
Yeah.
It's funny that Baltimore and Washington separated by about 30 minutes, because the Washington football fans, they definitely deserve a new owner. You know who deserves a new owner? The Baltimore baseball fans.
They really do, David. It's when you see him make comments and you see how the Baltimore people treat the comments, how much they dislike this guy. They really want a new owner, and it makes it tough. They're a fun team to root for, but with that owner, it makes it difficult to want them to do anything beyond just make the playoffs. I still think you're going to have to get through Texas to win the American League.
Although the Rangers are fading right now as well. They're clinging to a division lead. But the Orioles are the new Rays, Mark. They're not only in first place, people now feel they have the best farm system in baseball. The starting 5 is next. David Samson in a half an hour here on Miller and Moulton.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No, Josh Harris was not impaired. He's just a bit goofy.
You know, I didn't watch the news, because I don't watch the news, David, but they let off the Wink News the other day. I guess it was Sunday. School has started. Lee buses are late. Hey, here's an idea. Maybe if you had the kids go to the school that was closest to them, maybe you wouldn't have the same bus problem. I don't know.
I have an idea. How about if you have wait for it, a bus stop? See, everybody must get to the
They do.
stop. I watched for years. They drop kids off at their houses. Paul, as a baseball fan, it really bothers me that they can't fire or demote him. He's really bad. Remember Eric Gregg, big, overweight, African-American umpire? At least Eric Gregg had a sense of humor. He was funny. He wasn't particularly good. His strike zone was the size of Montana. Okay, but he was a good guy to deal with. Everybody tolerated his strike zone because he was such a nice guy. Angel Hernandez is an awful strike zone, and he's a jerk.
That Zach Flowers guy might be pretty good.
Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers, rather. Kind of fast.
Yeah. Yes, DC, there are a handful, I believe. I interviewed one time. His name escapes me. Excuse me.
Yeah, you couldn't even work on the starting five in the fourth quarter. You had to work all the way to the end.
Well, and I can't work on it in the booth.
I'm joking, David.
I believe me. Believe me. I will say the starting five usually helps me wind down. It's 30 to 60 minutes of work, and that
Get you tired right, and then you just kind of
because I'm always driving, so I still have adrenaline, and then it leaves me during the starting five, and I go right to sleep.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, David Samson joins us at the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You can text the show 21,000 If you've never texted us before, you have to type in a keyword, FSN Radio, all one word, FSN Radio. And then you're set to go. You're through the security gate and all is well. If you want to see us, watch the show, you can do so on twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
We'll start with baseball and Felipe's Marlins in tough 72 hours. Got swept in a double dip on Saturday in L.A., then had to ride out a tropical storm. Last night they played the Padres, who hit them with a tropical storm in the second inning. Ha-Seong Kim, a grand slam. 6-2 San Diego over Miami, who have lost 3 in a row. And the Marlins now a game and a half behind San Francisco for the final playoff spot. See, the Cubs are now the 5 seed, albeit by just a half a game. But they beat Detroit 7-6. So Chicago the 5, San Francisco the 6. San Francisco's the 6 because they lost to the Phillies 10-4. Philadelphia right now has a comfortable lead as the 4 seed by about 3 or so games. Bryce Harper with an inside the park homer last night for the Phillies in the win. Meanwhile, Arizona is just a half a game behind San Francisco for the final playoff spot in the National League. They scored 3 in the 11th to beat Texas 4-3. Tommy Pham with a 2 RBI double with 2 outs in the 11th to win it for Arizona. Texas, meanwhile, they're skidding. They've lost 4 in a row now, and their lead in the West, 5 in a row, actually. Thanks, Mark. 5 in a row the Rangers have lost, and because of it, their lead in the West down to a game and a half over Houston and 2 against the red-hot Mariners. Houston last night took care of Boston 9-4, dropping the Red Sox 4 back in the chase for the final playoff spot in the American League. Chas McCormick, 2 homers, 4 RBIs for the Astros. Meanwhile, Seattle won their 7th in a row. The Mariners bombed the White Sox 14-2. Cal Raleigh with a homer and 6 RBIs for Seattle. So there you have it. You've got 3 playoff teams from the AL West right now. 3.
And with Texas with that skid, the Mariners are just 2 back. And the Astros a game and a half back. I mean, that is a tightly fought race with the little skid here for the Rangers.
The Reds were rained out in Anaheim against the Angels. They'll make that up later this week. So Cincinnati is a full game behind San Francisco. So to review, Cubs are the 5, half a game ahead of San Francisco, the 6, who are half a game ahead of Arizona, the 7, who are a half a game ahead of Cincinnati, the 8, who are a half a game ahead of the Marlins at 9. There'll be a quiz coming up next hour.
Don't worry about tomorrow. The quiz will completely have different answers.
The Mets hit 3 homers and beating the Braves 10-4. Joshua Palacios with a homer and 5 RBIs for the Pirates in their 11-1 win over the Cardinals. And Brent Rooker with a walk-off 2-run homer for the A's in a battle of the 2 worst teams in baseball. Boy, Mark, how about that? Market that. Sell that, will you? Royals A's. The A's are leaving town. Sell tickets for that one, huh? What do you think the attendance was? Over under a Monday night in Oakland, 2 worst teams in baseball. Kansas City.
Under.
Well, we got to come up with a figure. 4,000. How about that?
I'm going to go under.
3,095.
And we thank you.
Yes. Will they hit 10,000 for the series? All right. Anyway, where were we? Preseason football. It was tolerable. Some called it exciting. Take it easy now. But Joey Sly's 49-yard field goal with 9 seconds left propelled the Commanders over the Ravens 29-28, snapping Baltimore's 7-year, 24-game preseason winning streak. Answer the trivia question. Who now has the longest preseason winning streak in the NFL? The Raiders at 6. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor granted permission to seek a trade. But the Colts said, hey, this guy's got value. We're at least a first-round pick if you want him. Mark, help me out here.
I'll try because they don't think he's worth anything and said so.
Thank you. Didn't they just, the owner, in fact, a week or so ago, listen, dime a dozen. He could retire tomorrow. I could die tomorrow. The franchise will be fine. And
yes.
Now
you got to get a first round or multiple picks that equate to a first round.
Right. Wait a minute. You don't want to pay him.
This guy was toe jammed 2 weeks ago.
Right. But now he's at least a first round pick toe jam. Mm-hmm. I believe that's called hypocrisy or irony, one or the other. Bears left guard Tevin Jenkins has a leg injury, and they think he's going to miss a couple games to start the season. The running back for the Dolphins, the speedster out of Texas A&M, I get his name wrong. Okay. Is it a cane? A chain?
I thought it was
right?
a cane.
I think it's a cane, right?
A-Chain.
It's A-Chain? He's the A-Chain?
A-Chain.
Okay. So he's apparently week to week. He got slammed. I have to admit, couldn't believe there wasn't a penalty. I mean, the way they're trying to clean up the NFL, this guy got picked up and body slammed like it was the WWE and nothing. And needless to say, he landed on a shoulder and it's bothering him. So they'll see whether or not he can play in the opener or not. He's week to week. Quarterback Mike White, the backup, don't know if he's going to be. He suffered a concussion, and he has suffered a few of them. So Skylar Thompson might be the backup to start the year. In Miami, they had to go out and find another arm and bring him into camp because they don't know how long Mike White's going to be out. Chase McLaughlin has won the kicking battle in Tampa Bay. Todd Bowles not yet ready to pick who the quarterback is.
But we've got a kicker.
This is the second time in 2 years that Chase McLaughlin has beat out Rodrigo Blankenship for a job. He did it last year in Indianapolis. Rodrigo Blankenship's got to be saying to his agent, listen, send me anywhere to compete just as long as it's not with Chase McLaughlin. So he'll be the kicker to start the year for Tampa Bay.
I thought Blankenship would end up being a good NFL kicker after watching him at Georgia all those years. I'm kind of surprised. He got hurt the hip when he was in Indy, and he's not really been able to recover.
Well, and I will say that for teams don't have a long leash with kickers anymore. They really don't. The leash has never been shorter. They treat kickers the way NHL franchises treat coaches. College football. Michigan self-imposed 3-game ban for their head coach, Jim Harbaugh. I thought everything was fine. We were going to coach out this year, and then we were going to go to arbitration and settle this next year. What's going on? Angelque Chengelis will join us in a couple hours. She covers the Wolverines to try to answer what the heck is going on. USC hired a new athletic director. So, of course, they rated somebody else who's in the same conference. Same conference now, and then soon to be same conference. Jennifer Cohen, who's the Washington athletic director, has been for 7 years. But she grew up in SoCal, and she said there's only one job she would have left Washington for, and it was this one. Okay. FAU, by the way, has chosen their quarterback. I think we all thought it was going to be Casey Thompson. Why? Well, first off, he's got 20 games starting experience at Texas and Nebraska. And secondly, the FAU head coach is Tom Herman. You know who recruited him to Texas? Tom Herman. So he's the starter. This will be his 6th and final year of eligibility for FAU. Greg Sankey spoke yesterday, and when he speaks, we really should listen. After all, there's no commissioner of college sports, so when either Greg Sankey or Tony Batiti speak, you've got to pay attention. Sankey once again said we need to reconsider the college football playoff format, not the number of teams. He's fine with 12, but the number of automatic conference champion qualifiers. We were going to do 6. He's basically saying, listen, with the Pac-12 blowing up here, can't have 6. So they're going to have, Mark, a couple meetings. Yeah.
And they're going to go to 5.
Probably. By the way, there are rumors that there's going to be a vote today or tomorrow about ACC expansion. That there's a lot of lobbying going on behind the scenes, and that maybe, just maybe, the West Coast franchises and SMU have got the votes. We'll see. Because it's much like a bill in Congress. It never goes to a vote unless the people pushing the bill are sure they have the votes. So if there's a vote that gets scheduled for the ACC, that means either North Carolina or NC State has changed their tune and they're willing to say yes, because Florida State and Clemson are firm no's. So there's an interesting situation going on in the NBA. Apparently a front office person who worked for the Knicks for 3 years left to go to the Toronto Raptors. Okay, I'm sure that's common, right? Well, apparently the Raptors were pursuing this person while this person was working for the Knicks. And the Knicks alleged that this person, while still working for them, was sending all their material to the Raptors. Everything.
I mean, basically, here's the hard drive as to what we do as an organization.
Right.
Scouting, pre-game scouting. I mean, everything.
And apparently, according to the Knicks, the Raptors didn't say, dude, you can't do this. The Raptors, according to the Knicks, said, hey, man, keep sending me the stuff. And then eventually they hired him. So the Knicks are suing everyone and everything associated with the Toronto Raptors, like 12 individuals and the organization. So there. By the way, it's going to make it really awkward when the two sides are negotiating a trade, because the Knicks are actually interested in a couple of the Raptors players, and they have the resources and the players that the Raptors want. But they hate each other. So this is, listen, I'll see you in court, but I'll take your power forward off your hands.
And, I mean, it's the Knicks and the Raptors, but it's Madison Square Garden suing Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. I mean, these are two monsters in the sports world.
Exactly. PGA Tour player Eric Compton was arrested over the weekend in South Florida for domestic battery and strong arm robbery. That was against his wife. The 43-year-old is out on $9,000 bond. $9,000? That's it? You beat your wife, you throw her against a wall? Okay, $9,000 bond? What the? And finally, tragic story, college basketball. Reggie Chaney, who helped lead Houston to the Final Four a couple years ago, and he was about to go over to Europe and start a pro career, died suddenly, and they don't know why, at the age of 23. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you go. Little this, little that going on. There'll be more baseball tonight because there were only 10 games last night, 9 with a rain out, and everybody will be in action beginning today.
And football with this week's preseason over. A lot of teams canceling their joint practices this week. Like the Patriots canceled their joint practice. The Jets did it last week. That's showing that to me that teams don't want to either show their hand or they're just banged up and need to get through the rest of this preseason. I think it's the latter.
Yes, you're right. The practices are rougher than the preseason games. Because guess what, Mark? You know who plays in the practices?
The starters.
Right. You know who doesn't play in the games?
The starters. So the injuries hopefully will be down this week because the multiple practices will be down as well. Miller and Moulton, David Samson next on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further.
Boom.
We here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I didn't realize, I just didn't pay attention. This whole Michael Irvin thing's fascinating.
Yes, it is.
Morning, David.
Good morning. How we doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
I am well, thank you.
How's the training coming?
Mediocre with occasional doses of shittiness.
Is this just
laziness, age, and work ethic? And
yes, we've always questioned your work ethic. Yes, you work pretty much every day. Okay, granted, you talk for a living now, but still, okay. Yes, we've all questioned your work ethic. Yes.
Oy vey. I'll get it done. You know I will.
Oh, there's not a doubt in my mind.
Hmm.
10 seconds.
I like the sport coat.
Thank you.
Here we go, guys.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And the top of the 7 o'clock hour on a Tuesday means our friend David Samson is kind enough to join us once again. He of the Daily Nothing Personal with David Samson podcast. He records it live at 8 a.m. every weekday. He appears at least weekly on the Dan Le Batard Show, and he still appears somewhat regularly on CBS Sports HQ. You can follow him on Twitter at David P. Sampson, David the letter P. Sampson. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
I am doing great. We're almost at September, which is always my second favorite month of the year, if your team is still in it.
Well, if your team is still in it, what is it that you're doing from an executive standpoint right now? I mean, the trade deadline's passed. So what are the day-to-days at the end of the grind? Because I'm guessing they're different than the beginning of the grind.
Well, there's stuff going on field and off field. On field, if we're within 5 games of a playoff spot on September 1st, we are sending out playoff invoices. So that was always the date that was circled on the calendar. Because once we send out playoff invoices, you have to pay, and then we get to use your money until we have to either refund it or we put it to next year's season tickets. So within 5 games by 9/1 was always big. And then we're also focused on who we're going to call up in September so we can fight with the baseball people. They want to call up more people. We want to call up fewer people because it's money when you call players up, and we want to do it only when it makes sense. We would argue with managers, we're calling up a guy and you're never going to play him. We'll call up a guy to play every day. We'll call up a guy, a third catcher for sure, but there's back and forth on that. And then if you're out of it, or even if you're in it, you're also thinking about next year because spring training starts in 5 months. So we're putting our promotional calendar together. We're looking at our roster. We're doing sales, marketing, ticket plans. So it's a very busy time of year right now, actually.
What were you thinking when you heard Orioles owner John Angelos? I mean, this might be the best story in baseball. I mean, you could argue it's the Braves, but the Orioles, who haven't been to the playoffs in a few years, and, they're having an amazing season. Best record in the American League, second best record in baseball. He picks a fight with a broadcaster, suspends him for 2 weeks for no reason at all, literally no reason at all. And now he comes out yesterday and goes, yeah, I know we got all these good young players. I have no idea how we're going to be able to afford them unless, everybody's okay with me raising, tripling, quadrupling ticket prices. What
Well,
in the world's he doing?
In 56 minutes, I'll be live, and that'll be my lead on Nothing Personal. Let me give you a couple spoiler alerts. One, some people may not remember, in 1997, the owner of the Marlins was a man named Wayne Huizenga. Wayne Huizenga actually went public during the course of that season and said, we'd like to win the World Series, but if we don't get a new ballpark, and he wanted at the time something called Wayne's World. He wanted a ballpark where the Dolphins play in that parking lot. He said, if we don't get it, we're trading everyone away. And I mean it. The Marlins won the World Series in 97 and then traded away all their players. He meant it, okay? That's a playbook that in baseball we have framed and put in a place where you can't access it. It's like Danny DeVito's last cigarette in War of the Roses. You don't want to touch it.
Don't break the glass.
Don't break the glass. I love that we know the reference, and there may be 12 other people who do.
It's fantastic.
When do you break that glass? You only do it, and I'm going to keep going, when Kathleen Turner does gymnastics in your office. Right now is not that time for the Baltimore Orioles or John Angelos. It's not even close to that time. In baseball, they're talking right now, trying to understand what he's doing. He has a lease that runs out in December. He's trying to get public money in order to refurbish Oriole Park and Camden Yards. But right now, you don't need to posture that way publicly. You can definitely posture that way privately when you're negotiating. And I've done that, and that's smart. But publicly, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, but is it true, David? I mean, come on, there's revenue sharing in this sport. They have the second lowest payroll in baseball. He could, I mean, in theory, I'm guessing he's making tens of millions this year. And he's probably going to have a playoff run. Can't you bank that money even? And not only that, he's not going to have to pay these guys for 3 years. Honestly, Rauschman's going to be making $1 million next year. The guy you just called up the best prospect in baseball is not even going to be making $1 million. I mean, come on, honestly, I could cover his payroll till 2026.
Well, why don't we criticize or talk about Stu Sternberg the way you're talking about John Angelos? And I'm not defending John Angelos. Baltimore, believe it or not, is a market that is closer in revenue to Tampa than it is to Boston or New York. It's closer to Cleveland and Miami. I never imagined that Baltimore would be a middle-of-the-road or low-revenue team when our owner, Jeffrey Loria, almost got the Orioles in 1992. He was the underbidder in an auction to Peter Angelos. Peter, in an auction room, bid 173, and Jeffrey Loria bid 172. And that's how Peter Angelos was the owner of the Orioles. And at the time, the numbers said that, hey, they're selling out. This is their TV money. This is the national money. This is the payroll that the Orioles can afford. Since then, TV money's gotten better. National revenue's gotten better. Local revenue's gotten worse. They don't sell out. They've had horrific attendance, and ticket prices have not gone up in the way that were projected to go. However, when your payroll has natural raises, which happens with young players as they enter arbitration, it does get expensive quickly, and your window to win is in the first 3 to 4 years of those young players. No team can keep all their young players. That would have been a better approach. It's like the Toronto Blue Jays acknowledging we can't sign Guerrero and Biggio and Bichette and all the pitching we do and give them all $200 to $300 million. No team can do that. He's going to have to make choices, but you don't need to make them now, and you don't need to talk about them now.
Well, and as you mentioned, the going public is the part, and how he did it, it seems to be the end-all, be-all of this, because they're a franchise that their fan base doesn't like ownership. I mean, this is the Washington Redskins all over again, isn't it, David?
Well, I can't believe you're making me defend John Angelos now. John Angelos is not Danny Snyder. Danny Snyder did things in the front office with the culture, with misogyny. Just because John Angelos isn't good at PR, or just because he has thin skin, that does not put him in Danny Snyder territory.
He's David Samson. In 52 minutes, he will be recording live his daily Nothing Personal with David Samson podcast, and he joins us this day and time here on Miller and Moulton. Is there any in between on the Wander Franco story as you see it? I mean, doesn't this seem as if this is an either or?
Well, let's start with Wander Franco and something that came out yesterday, which is that Tuesday is the day that there has to be a resolution, or he will continue on the restricted list, or maybe move to the administrative leave list. Let me tell you and assure you, there will be no resolution by Tuesday. I guarantee you that. The investigation will not be done. There will not be a conclusion. There will not be a suspension. He will be in the same position on Tuesday and Wednesday that he is today. My gut tells me that he'll stay on the restricted list because a deal was cut, which I've never seen before. The deal cut is that Wander Franco is still getting paid on the restricted list, and I've never seen that before. The administrative list, you still get paid. That's where Trevor Bauer was. But given the fact that he's still getting paid on the restricted list, my head tells me that he just stays on the restricted list, and he stays there for the rest of the season and postseason, because the investigation just can't happen that quickly, and it's too serious, and Rob Manfred does not like anything getting in the way of October baseball. And with the exciting playoff races going on, October really starts September 1. So all the negativity that would come with this, he is going to punt until the offseason. So I would expect no change at all.
Even the fact that they're in this race, and obviously he was a big part of it, Franco, that, in your estimation, it's harder to keep this out of the forefront when they're going to be a team that's going to be in the playoffs, David.
It certainly is, but they've got to talk about, listen, what are the stories around Tampa right now? It's Wander Franco and Tommy John. Those are the four names that are being said more than any other name. The injuries that they've had, it's just staggering. The fact that they can still be where they are is truly a credit to the front office and to the players. So I think they will try to get you not to talk about Wander Franco and to talk about the team on the field and to talk about overcoming injuries and try to get the narrative that way. And the best way to do it is to put a tourniquet around the Wander Franco story, which means he just disappears. He disappears from any promotions. He disappears from any ads. You make an announcement that he's on the restricted list until further notice. We will have no update until after the postseason. And then that's it. Then there's no more talking about him. That's what baseball will hope to do, and I want to be helpful in that because he shouldn't be the story. It should be the story for the Rays. There will be a time when he will have to get his punishment if he did what he is thought to have done.
We have a couple minutes left. You've obviously been a part of organizations. People you hire, people leave. This Knicks Raptors story, two mammoth organizations, by the way, that are now going to be involved in this lawsuit. Does this happen frequently where, I'm the Mets, I hire away one of your chief scouts. Okay. Doesn't he bring, whether he actually brings a pamphlet or not, doesn't he bring proprietary information about your franchise with him?
Every single time. There's not one scout we've hired who didn't bring stuff from his other team. And there's not one scout that we've let go or has been hired by another team who didn't bring our stuff too. What is it, the nuclear codes? Come on. Jim Dolan is quite something. All I can say is that I understand that when you leave Coke, you cannot bring the formula for Coke to Pepsi. I absolutely get that. And we tell our scouts and development people, they sign something, all of the same documents that you sign in New York, in every city. They're all the same. That this information is property of the team. But guess what? In real life, when we leave our jobs, we bring pencils, don't we? We bring the institutional knowledge. We bring our computers because we change when we're changing jobs. We move it from our work computer to our home computer. Oh, this is the first guy who's ever done that. Who's heard of such a thing? It's absolutely ridiculous.
He's David Samson. His Nothing Personal with David Samson podcast will be recorded in 46 and a half minutes. He joins us every Tuesday at 7 o'clock here on Miller and Moulton. Follow him on Twitter at David P. Samson, David P. Samson. David, good luck with training for another week. We'll do it again next Tuesday.
I'll be here. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
For those wondering, The War of the Roses premiered in 1989, and he remembers it like it was yesterday, like everything else. It's why we love him. He's David Samson. We're Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I just sent David a text saying, don't know if you can do this on air, but I think we all have a short list of performers who, if they were doing gymnastics in our office, would probably be able to get their way. Okay. And I told them, and as you were referencing Kathleen Turner circa 1989, I was thinking J-Lo. Okay.
I just remember that movie because my parents were going through a divorce around that time. One of the third and final time they actually finally called it quits. I remember my mother telling me that they watched that movie together. It was on HBO or whatever. So probably a year later, so like 90, they're watching HBO and just kind of looked at one another at the end of it. You know? Okay, then maybe we should just end this.
Yeah. So 2 hours ago when I woke up, I requested a late checkout. You know how you can do everything touch screen and what have you. Yeah, they still haven't gotten back to me. Just
what's a late checkout? 1?
I was actually just going to ask for noon to have it push it back an hour.
Time's your flight?
3. Airport's 10 minutes away, so I just want show's over. Just want to take an hour nap. Take me 15 minutes to pack up. I mean, I'm going to take a nap anyway. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be like 20, 30 minutes or I can actually take a nap.
It's when you put that do not disturb sign on the door.
I put it on the door the minute I check in. I deny all sorts of made certain no one enters this room. I never have anyone in my room when I'm on the road, ever.
Yeah, that's a you problem. I want my bed made.
Nope, I'm fine. I have too much equipment here. I can't risk it. Can't risk it all. Plus, I just, I can put my stuff here. Don't clean it up. I just know I got everything where I want it. I'm gonna be here 2 days.
Right. I want the bed made.
No, I'm good.
Need new towels? Well, actually, if I'm by myself, I don't need new towels. When I'm there with my wife, we'll need new towels.
Now, see, and then I just go find them in the hallway. And I just say, hey, you got a couple towels? I still don't want them in the room. I got a story here, a little one.
Okay.
Do you?
I do not.
Okay. I got one, and it's for you. I saw this story and thought of you.
All right.
And we get Felipe's thought on it, whether or not this promotion, it's about a marketing idea and whether or not this promotion would suck you in.
All right.
Let's hear it.
So.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan will join us in 40 minutes. We'll talk plenty of NFL. It'll be Pat's last weekly appearance. Beginning next week, Pat's booked for Tuesdays and Fridays, country and Western, with Pat Kirwan beginning next week.
I'm going to make a small bet with you.
Okay.
Small wager. That Pat, when finishing the interview, says, talk to you guys Friday.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. I won't sabotage the bet either. Won't text them, nothing. And you can't either.
No.
All right. Felipe, you can't either. All right. We're just going to, all right. Just see how the cookie crumbles here. Listen, I saw a story yesterday and I thought of the two of you. So I don't want the two of you thinking that as soon as this show ends that I'm done thinking about you guys. Okay. I take you.
Cares. He really cares.
I take you two with me all day. So Brett McMurphy covers college sports and he said, hey, it's a little different promotion. I just want to let you guys know about. Did you hear what the University of Memphis is doing?
I did
Mark,
not.
No.
You were in professional sports marketing for at least 15 years.
Correct.
So, what do you think of this idea? And Felipe, as somebody who a little over a year ago was still a college student, but also is somebody who I think, hey, you still want to go to games. You're young enough where it's still, you want to be at the games. As we get older, a lot of us are like, yeah, I want to be home watching it on TV. So that's why this story is for the both of you. Memphis is a ticket promotion where fans buy a $60 ticket for the opener against Bethune-Cookman. Okay, it's not cheap. However, if the Tigers win you get a free ticket to the next home game.
$60 for Memphis against Bethune-Cookman?
But think about
That's not
it.
a season ticket?
What's the next home game?
The next home game is Navy. Okay, so, well, hold on. Think about this. $60. Yeah, that's a little pricey. That was my thought. I'm like, ooh, I don't know what general admission is to a Memphis football game, but I'm guessing it's not more than a 20. So, okay, $60. However, if they win, which, come on, they're going to beat Bethune-Cookman,
right?
You then get a free ticket to the next game. So really, it's a $30 ticket. Then, if they beat Navy, you get a free ticket to the next game. It can continue all season long.
So it can be a season ticket if they run the home slate, if you will.
Correct. If they run the home slate, you could buy Memphis football season tickets for $60. All right. Bethune, followed by Navy, followed by Boise. Let's just say it ends against Boise. $60. You got 3 games in September. $20 a game. Bada bing, bada boom.
I mean, that's what you're paying for. They're going to beat Bethune. They'll be favored against Navy.
And the Boise game is going to be a toss-up game. That's going to be probably a 5-point spread in either direction. So that's a good, solid game, actually. But what do you think of the idea? First off, you, former marketer, would you have approved that in the marketing meeting in the office?
Depends on where ticket sales were. I'm going to be brutally honest. But obviously they need them, and they have the ability to sell this and sell as many as they want. I think it's a terrific idea.
If by chance,
but Memphis is usually pretty good.
Yeah.
They're an average to an above average. In fact, they're an above average group of 5 team. Clearly.
Correct. By the way, if they beat Boise, they're going to have to play Tulane. Tulane's preseason top 25. They're regarded as the best group of 5 team in the country. And if it's not them, it's Boise. All right. After that, it's actually South Florida and SMU. That's the home schedule, I believe, for Memphis. Now, Felipe. All right. They're targeting you here. You live in the community. You're a sports fan. Okay. You've gone to some games before. Let's just say you're a recent graduate. You would love to go. $60 ain't cheap. However, would this promotion lure you in?
If this was my team, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, if this was the Canes.
Oh, my gosh.
Because the Canes actually won't sell any tickets for their first few games. They never do.
Well,
so $60. Okay. You go to the first game. They win. You get, as you're walking out, they hand you a ticket. Hey, your next one's on us. You go to that one. They win. You're walking out. They hand you another ticket.
The Canes play Texas A&M.
Yeah, this year's exception because they got A&M.
I would spend $100 for that if I was a Hurricanes fan.
If you took the A&M game off, and let's say you bought the Miami of Ohio ticket for $60, that got you Bethune-Cookman if they win, and that got you Georgia Tech if they win. That's a little, because the A&M game, that's a no-brainer. It's a huge game. That game should sell out.
But yeah, I like it. I don't think I've ever heard of an idea quite like that before.
I love it.
It's very unique.
Very minor league.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Tell me, this got a single AA baseball feel to it, doesn't it?
Right. Go to the first game of the 3-game series.
If they win, hey, fireworks night tomorrow night's on us. Here you go.
Right.
And if you win, you can go back Sunday afternoon if you want. Stop by after church.
And the kids can run the bases. I mean, it's a hell of a weekend.
Totally. And if by chance we run the table, hell, next homestand we'll give you a ticket to the first game of that one too.
All for a series between the Lugnuts and the Trash Pandas. I mean, that would be fantastic.
Listen, this is Savannah Bananas prices at this point here, but
60. Don't the Bananas.
I know.
What's Portnoy doing?
I don't know. Dave Portnoy is declaring war against the Savannah Bananas.
Savannah Bananas. Who am I to take on David Portnoy? He's a monster in the industry, but it just seems like a fight, and they have accepted the challenge. I mean, they have not many people fight back against Barstool. The Bananas are fighting back.
28 minutes after the hour. Time now for the play of the day. Felipe, what do you got?
Well, the Diamondbacks need every win they can get, as they are also in that super tight NL wildcard race. They got it last night. Tommy Pham, the hero.
Tommy, base hit! Here comes Perdomo! Tommy Pham walks it off! What a ball game! They came back again.
You know, before our show, the ESPN national show is playing, and they have a top sound segment at the end. Their top sound was the last snap of last night's Commanders-Ravens game, which I thought was a disgrace because it's a preseason game and no one cares.
So
what network was the game on? And what network are you listening to before this program begins?
Ridiculous. Tommy Pham with a walk-off. That is your play of the day. That is a meaningful baseball play of the day right there. Oh, the days are numbered for those baseball play of the days. Let me tell you.
Don't get me wrong. One game counts in the standings and the other didn't. However, there was a lot more money bet on the meaningless game than there was on the Arizona Diamondbacks Texas Rangers game. I can tell you that.
That is true. A lot of people cashed out last night.
So there you have it.
Had an inside the park home run that you could have pulled out there last night. Harper had the inside the park home run. So there were choices last night for you, Felipe. But we go with Pham and the D-backs with the win over the Rangers. That's 5 straight losses for the Rangers right now, who are only clinging to a 1.5 game lead over Houston.
Boy, Mark, I thought he was going to give us the Ho-Sung Kim grand slam from the Padres to put away the Marlins last night, but I guess he missed that one. It's funny. We have not heard many plays of the day that went against Felipe teams over the years.
Funny how that works out. In the Adam Duvall home run, even though they ended up losing, did you see or hear about the clip? Kevin Millar calls the home run before it happens, calls him, says he's going to hit it out, and he hits it out. They end up losing the game to Houston, but it was a pretty solid call by Millar in the Red Sox game against Houston. Miller and Moulton, thanks for getting up with us right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I will say, though, that Harper inside the park home run was super cool. Never seen someone slide into home so casually.
The Athletic Pulse has a fun little question of the day. Who would you rather be in 2023, the Vikings or the Giants?
Well, if the Vikings had kept more of their good players, I'd rather be the Vikings. Softer division.
What's a laser? Where you want to go here?
The ACC.
All right.
There are reports this morning that they're going to meet today.
David, I've got to ask you, of all the starting five stories, where did you get the golfer story? Because I did not see that at all, the domestic violence golfer story. Was that on the Post? Did I just miss it?
Golf Digest.
Okay, I don't follow them.
WPLG in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, I just didn't see it.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Pat Kirwan joins us at the top of the hour. Angelque Chengelis joins us 1 hour from now. We'll talk NFL at the top of the hour. We'll talk Michigan. Jim Harbaugh is now suspended again. What's going on? with Angelique 1 hour from now. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Okay, couple things. First off, let's just take the Colts and Jonathan Taylor thing seriously for a second, even though it's difficult to take the Colts and the Jonathan Taylor thing seriously for a second. He's a 24-year-old outstanding running back. And reportedly, 4 minutes after the Colts publicly acknowledged they had given Jonathan Taylor and his agent permission to go seek a trade, 4 minutes later, Chris Greer and the Dolphins were linked to Jonathan Taylor from Dolphins sources. So, 24-year-old, top 5 running back in the league. Let's just assume they'll get him healthy because he's not 100% right now. But let's assume that at some point in time here soon, Jonathan Taylor's back to being a very healthy, outstanding Jonathan Taylor. If you're the Dolphins, do you pursue him?
I think their running back room's fine. But I've got to at least kick the tires and see what it is I've got to give up. I'm not giving up a 1.
No. Just because the Colts want a 1 doesn't mean you give up a 1. Now, I believe the Dolphins don't have a 3rd and 4th round pick next year. So I think they're already a little shorthanded in terms of resources in the cupboard. But could be wrong, but I thought they didn't have a 3rd and a 4th next year. You know, they've made some big deals here, Jalen Ramsey and what have you. So, do you acquire Jonathan Taylor? Those that cover the Dolphins say, what's the difference between Dalvin Cook and Jonathan Taylor? 4 years. 28-year-old running back versus 24-year-old running back. That's a big difference.
Well, and the analytics on Cook were going down. I mean, no matter what anybody says, and I think he's still a really good running back, but if you dive into the analytics, the numbers were going down. There was a reason why the Vikings did what they did. But not with a 24-year-old running back. He's still on the uptick.
Now, you know, the Colts could use some players. This doesn't have to be just straight, you give up a high draft pick here. Also, there's no guarantee you have to give up that pick in 2024. You could give them a better pick, but make it be in the 2025 draft, if you will. But also realize you're going to have to pay Jonathan Taylor. I mean, why is Jonathan Taylor unhappy in Indianapolis? Wants to get paid. Still on his rookie deal. So, you know, Felipe, you're the Dolph fan. You know you're going to have to give up either a good player and a mid-round pick or a good draft pick and pay him.
And you're right about the Dolphins draft, by the way. No 3rd and no 4th next year. The following year, they have all their picks plus another 5th rounder.
Okay. So, Mark, first to you. Play GM. Do you acquire Jonathan Taylor, yes or no, if you're the Dolphins?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to acquire Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to try to give up a 25 draft pick or a player. I think you might be able to give up one of your running backs plus a mid-round pick in 25 and get this deal done.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because if you're giving up a player, do you want to give up a player from the deepest position that you have? And what is the deepest position in the Dolphins roster?
Well, looking ahead to some contract issues that they're going to have in a big way beginning next year, you know, Xavier Howard might be a salary cap victim next year. Agba, okay, is a pretty big cap hit right now. Do you, Mark, how about this? How about you give up a mid-round pick, but you give them one of your running backs from a crowded running back room, and maybe you throw in Agba. So you give them a running back to replace Taylor, even if they're not equal. All right. You give them a serviceable player in Agba, albeit pricey. Colts can afford it. And then you give them a pick. And you give them a 2025 3rd.
I'd do that deal right now if I were the Dolphins.
Okay. Felipe, would you do that deal?
I think I agree with Mark here.
Okay. So that's the first thing I was wondering. Because the Dolphins were the team, just like the Dolphins were the team first linked to Dalvin Cook. By the way, Jonathan Taylor's agent apparently has a very good, close relationship with Mike McDaniel, you know, Dolphins head coach. All right. So it's just worth throwing out there. And to the Dolphin fans out there, whether it be in our Twitch chat room, like Mr. Boutte said he would not make the deal, or 21,000 text line. If you're the Dolphins, and, we know what the price tag's going to be. It's going to be a solid pick, maybe a solid player thrown in with it. And then you're going to have to pay Jonathan Taylor. So beginning in 24 or 25, he's going to count a little bit against the cap. He is. Would you make the deal? Yes or no? That's number one. Number two, there was a lot of whispering last night, and in some cases out loud, that the ACC may actually have a vote coming up later today. That apparently Stanford and Cal and SMU are not going quietly into the good night. And that maybe, just maybe, they've convinced one of the North Carolina schools, either the Tar Heels or the Wolfpack, to say, you know what? The hell with Florida State and Clemson. We're going to let you guys in. And the biggest thing, Mark, that I believe they have going for them in this argument is if you look at the beginning of when conferences have gone to die, you can go all the way back to the Big East 30 plus years ago. Penn State wanted in the Big East. They voted them down. The Big East would still be alive and well and would still be a football conference if they had taken Penn State 30 years ago. That looks as bad in retrospect as the Pac-12 12 years ago saying no to Texas and Oklahoma. And so Stanford, Cal, SMU are saying to the ACC schools, listen, you want to go die, say no to expansion. Because every conference that has died.
Boy, David, this is so difficult because what you're talking about, Penn State was a juggernaut.
Right. Joe put his height.
Juggernaut.
Yep.
When that was being talked about. And they were fearful of Penn State taking over their conference. Texas and Oklahoma, both big boy programs.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at Stanford, Cal, and SMU, there's not a lot there. That doesn't scream save my conference type of university. And I just wonder if expanding for expansion's sake is enough to keep your conference viable. Is more better in this case when you're not bringing a name with that.
Well, think if you're all the other schools in the ACC. What is it that we know about the ACC charter? You have to have a majority of schools that raise their hand and say, we're leaving for the charter to dissolve. Well, if you add the number of schools, that's more schools that have to raise their hand and say we're leaving. So if you take 14 and you end up making it 16, 17, 18, you need one or two more schools to get up and leave at the same time. Well, obviously, Stanford, Cal, SMU ain't getting up and leaving. Then you got the schools that right now have no place apparently to go. There's been 4 or 5 schools linked to the Big 12. There's been some schools linked to the Big 10. There's the 2 that want to get into the SEC. Well, if you're one of those like Duke, like Wake Forest, like Syracuse and Boston College, where there's no home for you, you look at Stanford, Cal, SMU as allies. You're like, well, if everybody's threatening to leave, I need people. Georgia Tech, I need people who want to stay. And maybe, quite frankly, we could survive if a whole bunch of schools decide they want to get up and leave. But this has not gone quietly into the night. Publicly, it has. All right? They've never taken an official vote. They took an unofficial one behind the scenes about a week and a half ago. It got voted down by a vote. Stanford, Cal, and SMU are still at it.
And to me, they've got to be working North Carolina, and they've got to be working North Carolina from the inside. It's the Wake Forests of the world telling North Carolina, you can't abandon us. You are the ACC. Despite what Clemson and Florida State think, you're the lifeblood of this conference. And if we can keep you and bring these schools in, then we can maintain ourselves. And that's what I think's happening. I think this is all North Carolina to me, David.
Yes. Don't you think this is like, listen, are you hell-bent on going to the Big Ten or not? Because otherwise, you got to make a decision here. And the time is actually now.
We're better and bigger than the Big 12. We can clearly be number 3 if we can maintain ourselves.
Now, listen, I don't know if this will make them a better television product, which is what it's all about, but they would be in California, Texas, and Florida. Now, granted, and right now, they have Florida State and Miami in Florida. And let's be brutally honest. If for whatever reason Tallahassee and Coral Gables got up and left, they could bring Tampa into the conference in 3 minutes. It's not like they'd have a problem getting back into the state of Florida. South Florida would pack that sucker up and join that conference before the day was done.
And they'd be like, what, SMU wanted no money for 5 years? We'll take no money for 7 years. Just let us in.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if that matters. I don't know if as a conference that's healthy or not. If you're in California, Texas, and Florida, got to admit, it looks decent on paper. You know, you're playing football in where? California, Texas, and Florida? Huh. Seems to be 3 pretty good states you'd want to play football in. So pay attention throughout the day today. If this subject matter interests you, there may be a vote. If you're hearing that a vote gets scheduled, they got the votes. They're expanding.
$21,000, the text line, whether it's about the Dolphins getting Taylor, whether it's about ACC expansion. Your comments are always welcome at 21,000. As David mentioned earlier, if you've never texted the show, text the keyword FSN Radio, all one word, into the show, and then you can text as much as you would like.
That gentleman, Greg Swaim, who we had on the show a couple times earlier in the month, who's been all over this expansion, he sent out a tweet late yesterday in which he said, listen, don't think for a second that just because nothing is happening, that all these schools aren't trying to make something happen. He goes, I am telling you, Florida State and Clemson are hell-bent to get in the SEC. I'm telling you, there are 4 or 5 ACC schools who would leave today for the Big 12. And for the assurances that that's a conference they know is going to survive. They can see the revenue projected for the rest of the decade. Okay. And they'll worry about the 2020s and then worry about the 2030s later. And that there would be what? Safety in numbers. And that's why, to me, and he believes that's why the full press that Stanford, Cal, SMU, and others are making to expand the ACC, and those that want to stay in the ACC, why this is still front burner in the conference. Because there are people in the conference that believe if we don't act before this season kicks off, we are going to end up the Pac-12 next spring.
And Cal and Stanford bring a legitimacy from an academic standpoint, a legitimacy from non-football athletics at the highest level. And university presidents eat that stuff up. And they're the ones that make this decision, not athletic directors.
Have to admit, though, nowadays they're making it in conjunction with whatever ESPN, in this case, since ESPN owns the ACC exclusively, they are making it in conjunction with, so how much money are you throwing on the table, huh? What does this do to our relationship? Does this open things up? What is it you want out of the deal? Want to shorten this deal, by the way? 2035, 2036? It seems like a long time. You want to shorten it?
ACC would do anything to shorten this TV deal. And ESPN sitting there laughing at them every time that they ask.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think Stanford and Cal shorten the deal. But as you've often said, David, power in numbers. And we'll see how this works out. Pat Kirwan We switch to the NFL. He joins us next, right here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other. With a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Pat? Shit.
I don't understand why this keeps happening.
I don't either. But I can't hear you, Pat, if you're talking.
You could probably hear us.
I know. And we've already had a guest appear this way this morning, Pat, so I don't understand why it's not working. And I don't know what kind of a system you use to be able to offer any help.
And it's weird because he says that he goes on other shows and it's fine. So might be a StreamYard thing. I don't even know.
How could it be? I can now.
Oh, yes.
What'd you do?
I went to the mic area. I got 5 different choices of mics, and I hit this one before.
It's working. Whatever one you hit the proper button, Pat. Way to go.
Yeah, high-tech wreck.
Oh.
Felipe, you can take full credit for that.
Yeah. Damn right I will.
Yeah, because last time it didn't work. He said, why don't you fix your fucking computer? I said, okay. All right.
How are you?
I'm good. Good to be off the road.
I bet.
Yeah.
It sounded like you had a hell of a trip too. Back and forth.
Yep. It always depends on when they're practicing in pads. That's the whole trick to our stuff.
So and I'll ask you this on air, but are injuries the reason a lot of these joint practices are getting canceled?
Yeah, look, they don't have enough guys. Who told me the other day? John Schneider told me that they had to sign 4 guys just to get through the preseason game.
And this is with not getting cuts until the end. I mean, this is one cut as opposed to how we've done it in years past.
A rash of injuries at a position like the Bears are destroyed at offensive line right now. I think they get like 4 of the starters unable to go. So,
well, there's part of me, Pat, that I know you guys don't have the time to do the deep dives anymore, but it's almost like you should do a September, just the offensive line, that you and Jim should go back and revisit your rankings and see where we are with the offensive line groups at the start of the season and what we thought from July. Because I think it means so much to who's going to be good and who's not.
Yeah, I agree. And, with the way my friend Rich McKay runs the kickoff thing he's trying to destroy, do you think they could post for us how many kickoff injuries they've had so far? Why don't you give us a little update? But no, they don't do that. They wait till they need it, and then they use it. But hello, David.
Well, good morning, Pat.
Yeah. I can start next week doing the doubles. That's fine.
All right. Good deal. Outside of just going to see the Giants and the Jets, you're done, right?
Yeah. We're done. I'm not going to any preseason games, but I will just run over and see the Jets.
Ten seconds.
What's new in your world, Ben?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, we're into the final hour of Miller and Moulton, at least along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The Diamond District bonus hours, an hour away in the 239 here on Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I come at you from our nation's capital after taking in the Commanders and Ravens last night. Mark is in our home base in Southwest Florida. Pat Kirwan joins us. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us twice a week beginning next week during the season, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and dozen locations in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good to hear your voices, fellas. And so I guess I'll ask you, is Sam Howell the man, or did we just see him play against a bad defense?
Well, here's the thing that I do believe needs to be taken into consideration. He was playing with the ones against the Baltimore twos.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the one thing that you saw really on both sides of the ball last night, which would concern me about Washington's backups defensively, is no defense has got any pressure really on the quarterbacks unless they sent the house. So, Washington's first string offensive line blocked Baltimore's second string defensive line. You got to figure Sam Howell's not going to have that much time, Pat, once the season gets underway, although they do open with Arizona.
Yeah, a couple games like that. When I was in Washington, I thought Sam was interesting. I would have loved that he was the backup, but he's not. And I don't even know if he's the best quarterback on the roster for the short term, but he is going to be the guy. They're going to go with him, and that's that. And I thought, just talking to Vinny Serrato yesterday, who has been at every Raven practice, former front office guy from the 49ers, he's been at every practice, and I didn't like their first string secondary in Baltimore, let alone their second string secondary. So they got some issues back there, and he recognizes it. I recognize it. And it looks like our friend Big Sam took a little advantage of that.
Pat, I said this to you off air, and I wanted to ask it on air because you and Jim on your show go through and do a deep dive into every position group. And it's kind of how you get your summers going, getting people ready for football, and it's very informative. It's good stuff. But to me, it's one thing to assess offensive lines before training camp opens. It almost seems as if it's worthy of doing it again before the season starts. You mentioned to me during the break the Bears' offensive line is in bad shape. We're seeing injuries everywhere. How decimated are teams at the offensive line already through training camp? We're already skipping joint practices this week.
Yeah, it's a position that is not strong. It's not deep. There's not a lot of big people that play football. And now you you look at what you have out there. And so the right time to do it, Mark, is right after the last cuts, when they announce and they show us who that group's going to be on the 53. Then I think it's a good thing to run through there, especially, some groups could go up, as a matter of fact, but some groups will go down. I'm sure the Jet running back thing will go up with Cook and all. But your point about the offensive line, very hard to find linemen. The only guy out there that's really intriguing is Dalton Reisner, but as of 3 weeks ago, I heard he was looking for $10 million a year. So he is stubbornly waiting it out. I don't think he's going to see the money he wants, but I bet you he gets a 1-year deal for some pretty fat cash, because he knows if you have a multi-million-dollar quarterback and you have a real guard problem, he's going to get a call. So not many other guys out there, certainly no left tackles that I would think you'd pay to put on your football team. And we're going to even see, Mekhi Becton probably playing a lot. And I don't know that the Jets really wanted that to happen.
Yeah, my feelings on Mekhi Becton. I think he's a bust. I think that the Jets are trying to pump him up, maybe to use him in a trade where, you proposed a trade the other day on your show in which maybe it's Mekhi Becton and a pick going to Green Bay for Bakhtiari. The Packers can take a flyer on a younger lineman who's cheaper, and Aaron gets his good friend to protect his blind side, who's still only 32, and in theory, if he's healthy, can still play a little bit. I want to change subjects, though. The one team that you visited that I don't believe we asked you about was the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
Well, a couple of things just jump right out at you. They are playing hard. But, preseason can be an illusion. To me, it's Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. We all know that he's got to stay healthy, but so does every other quarterback. He had a nice rhythm to him. He was able to handle his old team, make them look pedestrian, to say the least. So that was a big factor for them. And Marcus Peters was a late addition that he had a couple of picks while I was there. And Brock Purdy was not able to be himself. He threw 3 interceptions in the practice, and it made the Raiders look pretty good. I will say this, the thing that impressed me most was they did it to the 49ers on day one. And I'm pretty sure that night they, 49ers got the old wake-up call speech, and then the Raiders went out and did it to them again. So they'll be competitive, but they're not going to win the division. They're not going to – I don't think they're even a wild card. But I will say that they came out of the blocks looking to be better as a football team. So I think they'll be entertaining. I mean, the Raider fans that call my show do not believe any of this. They think they're just going to win 3 or 4 games.
Well, Indianapolis is scheduled to win 3 or 4 games more than likely. This is not a good football team, and Jonathan Taylor's now been given, permission to seek a trade. Pat, what do you think it will take? Because Jim Irsay, the tweet, it wouldn't take too long for whoever the other GM is to just look at the tweets and start reading what the owner said about the value of a running back. But now they want a first-round pick. I don't think they'll get it. I don't think anybody does. What's Taylor worth, and where do you see him ending up?
Well, I don't think anyone's giving away a 1, and they also have to deal with a contract issue with him. So sometimes you give him verbally, publicly permission to seek a trade, so it puts it right back on him. And then when he fails at getting something, then he's got to crawl back and accept that he's going to be there. I've done it that way. You know what? Why don't you try to get a trade? And here's what we want. Now, would they take, yesterday I said this on the air, would Miami give him a 2 and Mostert? I mean, if I was Indianapolis, I'd jump all over that because he's going to be a signable problem. But I think this is just an exercise to end all the doubt about where he's going to be. Because what can the agents say, Mark? Oh, you want a 1? That's not fair. Wait a second. You want more money because you say you are worth a 1. So why don't you go out and find out if you can get one, which he can't. So I think it'll just fizzle out.
Can we just focus in on the Dolphins running back room for a second?
Sure.
Obviously, Jonathan Taylor would be the best running back on the team, but do they need him, Pat? Like, I mean, if I'm Chris Greer and you're my assistant and I want him, okay, are you saying to me, Chris, he's a luxury item at this point. We don't need him, because that's what we think on this show. We want Jonathan Taylor, but I mean, they don't need him. They need a guard.
Well, as I said before, there are no guards unless you want to give Dalton Reisner his money, which I probably would have done in some form or another. But he's no luxury item for a team that's trying to protect a quarterback that's going to get hurt if he's throwing 40 times a game. To me, they have to be thinking about how do we minimize Tua's exposure. And the only traditional way to do it is run the ball. So I think that's why I would consider it more than a luxury item. And look, they wanted Dalvin Cook, and they didn't get Dalvin Cook. And so maybe they're balking at the money. If they balked at that money, I'm sure they'll balk at this money. Remember, Jonathan was not a healthy player last year. Or did he play 11 games or 10 games? Something like that. But I don't think it's a luxury item for them. I think they have to protect the quarterback. Speaking of protecting quarterbacks, they better come up with a way to do it in Carolina. That kid's getting tagged already. It won't take long now.
How much do you worry about that, Pat, of just, scaring the good out of a quarterback, getting hit too much? Do you think that that's an actual problem?
Yes, I do. And I think that people on defense don't give a damn about the rules. I mean, they're there to win the game, and to eliminate the quarterback's the fastest way to win a game. So they'll whatever consequences come from whacking them around, they'll pay the fines, and they'll go after them. And I don't know how, if they're going to try to win games, which means letting them throw 35 or 40 times and maybe the whole second half of games, he's not going to make it. How many little guys have won the Super Bowl?
Well, do you consider Breeze a little guy or no?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so Breeze and Russell Wilson, right?
Russell's not little. He's short. He's built. There's a big difference between little and short, and Russell's short, but he's stocky. And he can run. That's the other thing. Breeze is the only good analogy, because this kid's not going to run anywhere. Now, I talked to Jake Delhomme this week, and he covers the Panthers, and he swears I came in with your attitude, Pat, and after watching him practice, I've upgraded it. I go, yeah, I would too if I wasted my time watching practice. I'm talking about live bullets in games.
I will say, Pat, he took a pounding in college, and you don't think of an Alabama quarterback taking a pounding, but he actually didn't play behind the greatest line this past year. I mean, he got hit in the Tennessee game the way you can't hit a quarterback in the NFL anymore, and he just kept getting up and giving it to Tennessee more and more, overcoming an 18-point deficit. Even though he's skinny, he is tough.
How many Tennessee guys that you saw hit him are in the NFL?
Well, but they had NFL size, though. I mean, he got power driven into the ground by a 300-pound lineman.
Right.
Twice.
So when that happens to him, just like that game, it happens to him on Sunday. Now he's got a Thursday night game in the National Football League. I look, the physique tells me he's not. I would love to see him make it, but I don't see it. I don't see the survival rate there.
Fair enough.
And I'm not alone in that one.
All right. What do you see out of Stroud? Because I know we got about a minute and a half here. What do you see out of Stroud so far? Do you think any differently of what his career?
I think physically he can handle it, and he's athletic and he can move around better. He's got a ways to go to become competent at his position, but I think his survival rate's better. So in that sense, I would have taken him.
He's Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's Moving the Chains. It's Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. He's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. CBS has the Super Bowl this year in Vegas, so Pat's got that to look forward to as well. Never mind the fact that beginning next week, he joins us twice a week. I mean, talk about looking forward to something, huh?
How many years is it? Does anyone know? Who's the historian here? David, how many years have I been on this show?
over 15. We geared up in the summer of 2006. I'm pretty sure you've been on every single time. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, and a dozen points in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. More with Pat after this.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes,
East
golf
Carolina.
carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other. With a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know what this time of year is, Mark?
What's that?
Everyone who's got my text message, my phone number, every one of them is getting ready for their fantasy draft.
Oh, boy.
And it's just nonstop. Here's a guy I don't even know. Pat, good morning. Great to see you this past winter at West Bay. Have you got any ideas on great rookies that I could be drafting? Nope, don't have any. Next.
Next time, I'll give you, you can just text them back with our fantasy football summit and send them to that.
Yes.
We actually had 47 people for it. They pay, we give them dinner, we get a fantasy football expert. It's a pretty fun night.
Nice. Good. You guys, you're always figuring out something to do.
Got to try something, Pat. Got to keep doing something.
Yep. I agree with that. How about my man Gil Brandt still hanging in there? God bless him.
How old's Gil?
91.
Wow.
I already wrote his, well, you know, he's been really hurting. He's been on hospice, and he's been in hospice for over a month.
I did
Really?
not know that.
Yeah. And, you know, things looked really bad about 3 weeks ago. And I got the word out to some of the guys that always kind of can give him a lot of credit for their careers, and I've captured a lot of their thoughts and sentiments for when it happens. But darn guy, I love him to death. He's up eating solid food again. He's something else. But it is tough end to his battle coming.
Pretty damn good, 91, no matter how you slice it.
I did 20 straight drafts with him, Mark, and he never brought a computer or a notebook.
That just baffles me.
7th round. The Chargers take Mark Miller. Mark Miller, born in Detroit, you know, occasionally wears a East Carolina sweatshirt. You know, that's how he talks. And the best restaurant closest to his house, and then he names one. You got that cough.
I picked it. My wife got a little sick, and she gave it to me. I'm just fighting it off.
Yeah.
2 straight days of Dayquil and NyQuil, and I'm about done with it.
Yep. I had it for 2 days on the road there, Seattle and
Nothing worse than a summer cough.
No, and when you're trying to do a radio show. I asked for a cough button for Christmas 22 years ago. Didn't get it.
That's all right, Pat. There is a note on the cough button here that says, do not touch the cough button. It will jam. That's my favorite one, is that I have a cough button, but I can't use it.
And now you make me feel even better. I feel like, okay, it would be worse if I had one that was broken right in front of me. Felipe, way to fix that now that you fixed my sound. Let's go, buddy.
No, I actually talked to the engineers. The funny thing is this stuff's so outdated, they can't even get a replacement for it. This is what it is.
Well,
Who will catch more balls this year, Tyler Lockett or Smith and Jigba?
Tyler. I don't know if you listened to our show, but it was hysterical talking with Sean Payton about this quarterback now. And he said, I've gone back and watched all this Seattle film. And he goes, Tyler, I said, hey, how about Tyler Lockett? Because he's the scramble receiver. He's the guy who knows how to get open when Madman was running around. And he goes, yeah, I told our quarterback, I don't care what they're paying Tyler Lockett. It's not enough. He goes, we don't have anybody like that, dude. Tyler is Mr. Dependable.
He really is.
Yep.
4 straight seasons of 1,000 yards.
Yep. And he is not big.
No, he's 5'10".
Yeah, he's
5'10", 182.
He looks like a golfer body on him. That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
It's similar size to the Carolina quarterback.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Tyler never stands in the pocket and closes his eyes. When are you going home, David? Today, you get out of there this morning?
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
And our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 7. And he's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. They've got the Super Bowl this year. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, over a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Does it matter that Todd Bowles has not made the decision as to who the starting quarterback is? I mean, does it matter at all whether or not it's Baker getting into this final preseason game, whether it's still a competition? I'm just curious your thoughts on Todd Bowles and his decision-making at quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it. You need all the reps you can. Baker is going to have a bigger advantage as this goes on. He's played and started a lot of games. Trask hasn't done that, so how can you go with the guy who's splitting reps? When I was there, they were splitting reps, and if you do that over the course of the whole summer, it's kind of like missing 15 days of practice. And so I don't like it. I think they should have made the decision by now. I think it's going to be Baker anyway, so just give him the job and let him take 3/4 of the reps and get ready. Because you know what? It might be a waste a season, a lost season, whatever they want to call it, but they're going to expect to win games. And you and I know, all three of us know, that crowd will go away. It'll disappear in Tampa.
In an instant. In an instant, Pat. It did before. It came back with Brady. There's no reason to believe there's going to be a crowd when the season begins. That's my worry for them, is that they, I think when they open up Minnesota, they could lose that game. It could be tough sledding for the Bucs as far as what's going on from an attendance standpoint. But here, I'll just ask you open-ended. Do you think anybody gets to 9 in that division?
I think the Saints can. And I think the Saints have a chance for 9. Now, would it surprise me if they won the division with 8? No, but I think they'll get to 9.
I think Atlanta might.
I like Atlanta. You and I have talked about that. There's certain things about them. The young quarterback is going to have to deliver, and they've got other issues. But Bijan Robinson. They'll be look that head coach. He just wants to run the ball 40 times. Those games should be over. And when you have those games, you'll get the early flight home, David.
Would it surprise anyone if the NFC South came down to final game of the season, Atlanta at New Orleans?
No, I think there's a reason to pitch that concept and keep an eye on it. But yeah, I think it's going to come down like that. Look, Carr has not had a hard time really winning regular season games. And he of the quarterbacks, and if I don't know how good Michael Thomas is going to be, but if they get Michael Thomas back with Olave, I would think that they're gonna get to the 9 wins and win the division.
I do think, for what it's worth, Mark, that the Saints' ceiling is the best ceiling in that division. If you think about it, Kamara after the suspension, if Michael Thomas, all right, they have the best quarterback in the division until proven otherwise. It would seem as if they have the highest ceiling.
They might have the best defense in the division too.
Yeah. So it's a great time for them. In years past that you'd be caught with that roster and you'd be worried about it. But Mickey, those guys, they just keep playing for the present. They're not really, future builders. They're not tearing things down. They just keep plugging it and more guys and keep going. I don't know. It's gone on a lot longer than I thought it would.
One of our listeners asked what you think of the Titans this year. Everybody seems to think that it's Jacksonville's division. How much will the Titans give them?
Well, they got swept by Jacksonville last year. And I think Jacksonville, after being there and watching all the weaponry they have and the emergence of the quarterback, I would say that it's Jacksonville's division, and I would not be picking Tennessee to even make the playoffs.
Is it because they've just lost too much from the team that was the 1 seed just 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think it's been it happens to a lot of teams. But they were built one way. They're a one-dimensional football team, and that dimension doesn't look as effective as it was.
By the way, can you build a team that way? Like Washington is seemingly going to try to win that way as well. Can win you regular season games, Pat. It's proven. Running the football, playing defense, winning close games can get you to the postseason. But, the way the Bucs won their Super Bowl 20 years ago, the way the Ravens won their Super Bowl, it's seemingly how some teams are still trying to be built. Can you win that way anymore?
No, I'll quote Bill Cowher on that one. Bill says it to me regularly, and everyone thinks of Bill as a defensive guru and all the stuff that he did. But he'll always say to me, defense will get you in the playoffs, but a quarterback will win you a Super Bowl. And I think it does come down to your ability to throw the ball. Because sooner or later in the playoffs to get there, especially if you're a wild card and you got to run through 3 games or so, you're going to have to come from behind football. And those running teams can't do that. Now, am I tempted to build a team that way? The way everyone's got these undersized defenses? Well, the 3 of us have talked about that before. There's so many undersized guys in this league hiding at 225 pounds at inside linebacker, 248 pounds as outside pass rushing backers or ends. You know what? Put 2 tight ends on the field and pound the daylights out of it. You could win enough games to make the playoffs. But if you haven't developed a quarterback to throw, I think you're going to find yourself not able to finish it off.
Then why do the Chargers continue to not win, Pat? That's a good defense and a great quarterback, we think. I mean, when you're describing all that, I'm just thinking about the Chargers and going, well, then this team should win a hell of a lot more. They've got a defense, they've got a pass rush, and they can throw it all over the lot.
I agree with that. And then and Eckler knows where the end zone is all the time. There's an underrated guy and tried to get more money, and they said no. The questions with them, usually as I study those guys, is keeping it all healthy, especially on the defense. I didn't think they were great up front. As a run front, and I don't think they have their pass rushes available all the time.
Well, let's be blunt.
And maybe the coach.
Yeah, well, there we go. Thank you. There are a lot of people in the league, for whether they're right or not, who think that what's holding the Chargers back is their head coach. And it was no secret. Sean Payton wanted the Chargers job. We all knew he wasn't going to get it because the Chargers weren't going to pay Sean Payton type money. But I mean, Sean Payton when he was out of the business for a year, Pat. I mean, he was looking at Justin Herbert going, oh, I can win me Super Bowls with that guy.
Well, and it's probably going to happen again with the elite coaches who's ever available, experienced guys, maybe with a Super Bowl ring. They're going to look at that Charger job again.
If you're a head coach and a GM, how do you handle this third and final preseason game? Like the Jets, apparently they're going to play some people. All right. The Washington last night played their people the whole first half. I don't know if they're going to then play nobody in their third preseason game. How would you handle it? Would you be playing your guys or would you be playing nobody?
I'm in the nobody class. Remember, you're talking to a guy that wants to get rid of preseason games. And they're a waste of my time. And all you need is a real injury, Rodgers. And all of a sudden, that was a terrible idea. Rodgers doesn't need to go out and throw against someone's second defense, a la Sam Howell. He doesn't have to do that. You want to put him out there to get your fans all crazy? Good. But make it about 6 or 7 plays and call it a day.
And make sure if he throws interception, don't go tackle someone like Tua did, for the love of God.
Yes, well, you know the thing about Rodgers, he'll take a sack. He doesn't care about – he's not throwing interceptions. The guy just says, I'll take a knee and you can tag me off here. And now it's 2nd and 17. I'll probably convert anyway.
Jets announcing that Rodgers will play in the preseason finale against the Giants. It'll be the first snaps he will have taken in a preseason in 5 years. He's Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 7, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat, beginning next week, will join us twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West, and a dozen locations in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. Pat, be well. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah.
We'll talk again next week.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Year 16 is, I think, that's the appropriate number, and I'm very anxious to be here twice a week. Mark, I'm sorry about that, but you're stuck with me.
Hey, I thought you were going to book yourself for Friday. I thought you might be ready this week. Your training camps are over. No more 2-a-days for Pat. He joins us, as David said, courtesy of Pitchers. We are Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Sam Howell will be the fourth quarterback in the last 10 years to be drafted in the 5th round or later and be an opening day starter. By the team that drafted him. So Brady is not one of those on the list. Minshew. Nathan Peterman. And Trevor Siemian. Peterman was in the 5th round, Minshew in the 6th, Siemian in the 7th. And so Sam Howell will be the 4th, 5th round or later quarterback who will start on opening day in the last 10 years by the team that drafted him. Well, I don't think he left. I think he was told to leave. I literally don't know anything about it. I know Lee. Lee was actually in my corner. So for me, that, that's a guy who, that was a significant loss for me. I mean, Lee was actually advocating for me to maybe do more work with the company. So
who's Lee?
Lee Fitting was probably one of the 4 or 5 most important guys at ESPN in terms of management. Had been there a long time. Oversaw Monday night. I mean, if Lee showed up at a game, you were like, "Oh, it's important." So have no idea what happened yesterday. All I know is that somebody who outranks him was in the booth last night. I was like, "Oh, never seen you before." Yinzer, I just think it's, first off, it's more, are guys taken 5th round or later really somebody you're willing to groom to be your quarterback of the future? By the way, somebody earlier in the Twitch chat room said David Pollock was fired yesterday. David Pollock got let go
on July 1st.
Yeah, 2 months.
I looked that up. I'm like, I thought he was already fired.
Yeah, that was announced. His contract just ran out yesterday.
The story just kind of came up yesterday because there was a thing between he and Reese Davis that became public of how good of friends they are. But that's
he was in the 20 people who got let go for cutbacks.
Angelique's on hold. We're back in 15.
All right, awesome. Thank you. I don't know about that, Canada. He had one good scramble, okay, and he threw one bomb down the sideline.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It's our last segment along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The Diamond District bonus hour awaits in the 239 at the top of the hour. Jim Harbaugh was suddenly suspended yesterday, and we thought this story had run its course. And so if it involves Michigan football, first person we call is Angelque Chengelis. She covers Michigan football for the Detroit News. You can follow Angelque on Twitter by, simply spelling her last name, Chengelis, Chengelis. Angelque, good morning. It's David and Mark once again. How are you?
Good, David and Mark. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're good. Can we start this with the simplest, shortest question possible? What happened yesterday?
Well, I mean, this by no means has run its course, even after the announcement yesterday that Harbaugh is being a self-imposed penalty for Michigan, a suspension of 3 games, which I kind of saw coming. And this was after the negotiated resolution with the NCAA broke down. The Committee on Infractions rejected that about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and this is. Ward Manuel, the athletic director at Michigan, is a compliance guy, and I am not shocked that he took this approach. I don't think Jim Harbaugh loves this idea at all. I mean, I don't think he was kicking and screaming when he met with Ward Manuel yesterday morning, but I don't think this was the solution he had in mind. But it's a way of for Ward Manuel, Michigan, to show the NCAA, look, this is in good faith. We're going to self-impose these 3-game penalties for Jim Harbaugh, and in the hopes that the NCAA lightens the penalty going forward, because I don't think the NCAA is done with this by any means. And this is, I think, Michigan's way of getting ahead of it a little bit.
I mean, Angelique, is this as simple as trying to make sure Harbaugh is coaching against Texas next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it, but I think you also have to look at the possibility that here's a guy who will turn 60 by the end of this year. His birthday's in late December. He is a guy who has completely flirted with the NCAA the last 2 years, Minnesota after the 21 season, and then Denver last year. And these were legitimate interests in him. And he has said that he would love to win a Super Bowl and achieve that success as well, even though he's also said, but, I devote myself to Michigan. I think both things can be true. And I do think that if I'm Jim Harbaugh, and I've talked to enough people who've talked to him, I think he may look at this too as, well, I'm not getting enough support from the university on this, and this may be his exit. Maybe they have the big year that everybody anticipates. He goes out on a high. Look, I mean, he committed his initial contract for 7 years, and he's given Michigan that, and this is now his 9th year. So I don't think he would have any problem leaving his alma mater, because he's achieved what he has hoped he would achieve, and maybe this year they get the pinnacle and get the national championship. Who knows? But I mean, it could be Michigan looking for that insurance that he's there for the Texas game if he still is at Michigan. And I think it also raises the possibility that Jim Harbaugh goes to the NFL if there's an opening.
And Jim may also think, I don't know if I can put together a better roster than the one I've put this year, quite frankly, between talent and experience. Angelique Chengelis covers the Wolverines for the Detroit News. Follow her on Twitter at Chengelis, Chengelis. But Angelique, there's 2 things that Mark and I are having trouble wrestling with here. One is, we have seen coaches in other sports defy the NCAA in recent years, coaches who have been caught on tape making illegal cash transactions, coaches in which the recruiting allegations are massive, and they have challenged the NCAA and won with a slap on the wrist, or not even that. To suspend your coach for 3 games, aren't you acknowledging he screwed up far more than he's admitting?
It does appear that way. And in Ward Manuel's comment on Monday, he mentioned mistakes that have been made. And look, I mean, Jim Harbaugh, through the course of this, has admitted that these level 2 violations of impermissible visits during the COVID recruiting dead period in 2021, remember the NCAA kept extending that dead period, like month to month to month. During the pandemic, and he has admitted that those things happened, that there were recruits around, that there were interactions that should not have happened. What Jim Harbaugh won't admit to, and I don't think he ever will, is that he lied to investigators and misled the NCAA investigators on this. And that's the hang up for Jim Harbaugh, and he's fighting it. He has his own attorney. People are familiar, Tom Mars, who was part of the whole Shea Patterson transfer waiver in 27 into 2018. So they're familiar. Michigan fans are familiar with. Lots of fans are familiar with him. So he's got him fighting in his corner. And then there's Michigan with its lawyers, its outside counsel, and Ward Manuel. And they have taken that side, the Ward Manuel side has taken the approach where, okay, you've got to do this. You've got to take the 3 games. And look, I mean, I think if anybody looks at this schedule, those are, I mean, I think the 3 of us could go coach and win one of those games this fall. So that, that's not an issue that Jim won't be on the field. The players don't seem to think that will matter, but it's an issue for Jim Harbaugh because this is challenging his integrity. And that's something people who followed Jim Harbaugh all these years understand that's, I mean, I don't think anybody would like this being challenged in their character. And, but that's the leap that Ward did not make in his statement, that this is that Jim Harbaugh should be admitting this, blah, blah, blah. Just that they made these recruiting errors, and look, NCAA, isn't this enough? And I just don't think ultimately it will be enough unless Jim Harbaugh and his attorney can foil the NCAA's plans.
How much is this beyond Ward Manuel? How much higher does it go at Michigan? Because as we've talked before, Angelique, this is a program that doesn't get in trouble. This is a university that thinks very highly of themselves not getting in trouble. And I almost think that Ward Manuel may not have wanted to suspend him, that it may have come from a higher up.
Well, I mean, that's a good point. And Ward Manuel can't make decisions unless he has the backing of the president, Santa Ono, and the regents. And in a conversation with one of the regents yesterday, he did support Ward's decision. And I do think this was Ward's decision. I think that, he has acquaintances at the NCAA. He understands their side of what they're looking at and where this could go. So he is informed in making his decision. And I don't think that it was in consultation with Santa Ono, the president, or anybody else. I think he goes to them and says, this is where I think this is going. This is what I want to do. And then that has to be signed off by the president. So I think that the one thing Santa Ono has done is he's very, very supportive of athletics. I mean, he's at every game and has the pictures to prove it on his Instagram. But he has said, this is Ward Manuel's department to run. And but I do think this was a Ward Manuel decision, and he met with Jim Monday morning, and then Jim had to address the team at a team meeting, very, very quick meeting, like 1 or 2 minutes, that surprised the players, and before they went to practice. And so I think this Ward's happy with it. I certainly don't think Jim Harbaugh's happy with it, but that's how they move on at this point.
Angelique, I have to admit, it's the first time I've ever been a little angry at you when we've talked. I can't believe you think the 3 of us would only win one of their first 3 games. They're 36-point. Hold on, Angelique. We are 36-point favorites against East Carolina. How you really think we're going to screw that up?
Oh no, but I'm thinking that I don't think Jim Harbaugh, there's going to be one interim coaching these games. So I figure since he's probably going to have a different coach each game, I suspect Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, will handle the first game. I figured that the 3 of us would get one of the other 2. So I don't think we have all of them.
Angelique, we break out the Rick Leach, Butch Wolfork offense against East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green, and we go 3-0. Come on.
I say I absolutely have faith in us. I do, but I have a feeling it'll be Jesse Minter. I think Jay Harbaugh will be out there. I think Sharon Moore will get a game. And that's how it'll go. And we can pretend in our minds that we could coach them,
All right. On the field, Angelique, where is the weakest part of this football team? We know they're super experienced. We know they bring back a lot. Is there a weak part of this football team?
I do think so. And I think it's at receiver. And nothing on paper yet tells me that anything's changed. You hear some different names like Tyler Morris. And, I think that there's a couple guys that have been injured during camp. I do think Roman Wilson will be a difference maker this year. And I thought that for a couple of years. I mean, he's so quick and he's very skilled. But and that's why I think you're going to see more of Colston Loveland, the tight end. And I think you're going to see more of Donovan Edwards, the running back. And I think that they will utilize him because he's so talented in that aspect of the game. But in terms of receivers, I mean, Cornelius Johnson is back. But he has a lot more to prove, in my opinion. And they're going to miss Ronnie Bell, I think, initially. I mean, he was a clutch guy for them. And I'm not sure anyone to me has stood out yet as the guy. It could be Roman Wilson. And then special teams. I mean, we talked about it the last time I was on. That was so automatic with Jake Moody and Brad Robbins punting, and now they've got a transfer kicker in Turner, and they'll have a new punter, and they do have their long snapper back, which no one ever talks about the long snapper unless he messes up. But he is the key. I mean, he's been there for years, and he's a guy that Moody and Robbins relied on. He's back from injury. Will he be the glue for this? We'll see. But it'll be different. I think Michigan fans were so used to Jake Moody coming out and obviously won the game against Illinois and does his job, and no one really knows yet what to expect from the special teams. But otherwise, I think it's a really solid, very solid team, especially on the offensive line. I haven't seen it this deep in many, many years.
Angelique, finally, so how the faithful handing the opener being on Peacock? All of a sudden that new Big Ten media deal doesn't seem so great, does it?
No, it doesn't. I hear people on the radio shows here talking about it, and we'll just sign up for a couple of weeks, you'll get it free or whatever, and it's a whole new world, obviously, with conference expansion and then these TV deals. And it's going to take some getting used to. I've got Peacock now. I'll record the game or do whatever I can to make sure I watch it when I get home. But it's definitely a new world and one that's challenging to navigate. But it's just the start. I mean, next year you're going to have so much more with USC and UCLA and Washington, Oregon. I mean, it's just the beginning of all the changes.
Angelique, thanks for making time for us. You always answer our calls. We're very appreciative. Safe travels if we don't talk before the opener, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Likewise. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Enjoy the start. And, we'll meet later about our game planning.
We're 3-0. Book it.
A lot of option, Angelique. A lot of option. We're bringing it back.
Thanks so much, guys.
Angelique Chengelis, Detroit News. Follow her on Twitter at Chengelis, Chengelis.
Goes Rick Leach on us.
And Butch Wolfark. I went as much 70s reference as I could there. Okay, I went as much Bo Schembechler as I could there. Come on. East Carolina, Bowling, UNLV, Bowling Green.
Well, I mean, they really slammed the door on him because it was a 4-game suspension before. Now they've said, hey, we've got to have him back for the Rutgers game.
That's a conference game, Mark. Come on now. Got to take it seriously. But just to show you, Peacock, CBS, Big Ten Network, their first 3 games. That whole, you're a fan, and Odyssey, and what network is my team playing on? Yep. There you go. It's only going to get crazier. So thanks, Angelique, for joining us.
Miller and Moulton. If you miss any part of the show, go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Download any part of the show that you may have missed. David Samson joined us in the 7 o'clock hour. Pat Kirwan was on earlier this hour before Angelique Chengelis joined us to talk a little University of Michigan football.
I am surprised. I am surprised they caved. I really am. And I'm sorry. Jim can say whatever he wants. They do not agree to a 3-game suspension. I don't care if it is 3 games that Miller, Moulton, and Chengelis can win, okay, unless they know he screwed up. And I'm sorry, it ain't recruiting guys during the dead period. That's
not a cheeseburger. It's what the NCAA, right. The NCAA came out and says it's more than a cheeseburger.
Because you don't suspend a coach 3 games for level 2, which are considered minor violations. I'm sorry, you don't do it. There's something there that they know. Just saying.
Michigan doesn't cheat. It's who they are, David. And I think this bothers people high up a lot. I don't think this was Wade Manuel's decision. That's where I disagree with Angelique. I think people higher up said suspend him.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
You had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Wes, I can answer that for you. More SEC games, and no, they don't get first dibs on both conferences. This is the first dibs on the SEC. It's the last year of that. And they won't have first dibs at Big Ten games. Fox always will. Hey, David, little stat for you here that I just saw. You'll enjoy this. Today, it's not, I don't know if it's really today was a day one thing. I may, but I doubt it. Feller was discharged from the U.S. Navy 78 years ago today. He would hurl a 12-strikeout complete game victory 2 days later. He led all of Major League Baseball with 1,174 strikeouts from 1939 to 1946, despite serving in the U.S. Navy from December 9th, 1941 to August 22nd, 1945. Think about that.
So
he pitches 39, 40, and 41.
Right. And then
he
the last month
the last
of
half of
45.
44, the last month of 44, and just the last month. So he pitched 3 in a month, 3 seasons in a month and a month.
Right. 39, 40, 41, and then basically September of 45.
1,174 strikeouts.
It's pretty good.
That's not bad. I mean,
listen, you know my feelings about Feller and Ted Williams.
I know that. That's why it's literally why I saved that to give it to you. I mean,
I'll tell you what, Bob Feller had me shaking. I was so intimidated by Bob Feller. I got really lucky with Bob Feller. He was in a good mood. Not every time I was around him, but most times. If we tell the stories of Bob Feller and Ted Williams, Honestly, it's Ted Williams went to war twice.
You're lucky you had a good show booked, because this whole Fat Bottom Girls getting taken off of the Queen's Greatest Hits album had me up in arms. I could have done the whole show on it today. The whole show. Does that mean Sir Mix-a-Lot's baby got back? Can't be played anymore either?
Oh, boy.
What about Legs by ZZ Top? Don't walk away from me. Don't pack your room with that brick wall in the background. Hell no.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on this Tuesday. It is the Diamond District bonus hour. Thanks for being with us. Hope your week got off to a good start yesterday. We are Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. So you were worked up during the break there. You got me worked up because you brought up one of my, all-time favorite topics. But I didn't realize how worked up you were about something and that you were chomping at the bit the first 3 hours of the show to talk about it.
Well, whenever I see Fat Bottom Girls trending on Twitter, I need to know why.
Well, I would too. So
it turns out that they have taken the song off of the digital release of Queen's Greatest Hits. Fat Bottom Girls, song by Queen. You all know it. If you don't listen to it, it's a funny little ditty.
Uh-huh.
They make the rockin' world go round, David.
Right. I've heard that.
But apparently it's shaming. So it cannot be, apparently we can't listen to that song anymore.
Well, you just can't listen to it on their greatest hits, I guess. I'm curious, do we know what it was replaced by, or did they just take one song off?
It was just taken off.
Oh, so come on. They should have replaced it with something. I mean, it's not like it was a group that doesn't have enough songs to make the album.
But where do we go from here? Does that mean Baby's Got Back's got to go away? What about Legs by ZZ Top? What about Tush by ZZ Top? Maybe we just take their whole catalog away.
See, this is hitting you where you live. This is music. All right.
It's ridiculous.
The only thing.
How much more can we cancel out? This is music, for crying out loud.
I
there are a lot of people out there that like a fat bottom girl. There are some people that like a skinny bottom girl. There are some people that like a medium body girl. Who gives a damn? This is pathetic.
Gotta be honest, Mark. You got a little Stephen A in there with you, because I think Stephen A would agree with everything you just said. Sounds like a Stephen A segment.
Well, I wish I made his money.
Hell, even 1% of it, to be honest.
I just don't get it. I mean, now we're canceling. Right. I get it. It's ridiculous.
There we go. but also it's hitting you where you live. I mean, people know. I know you do sports talk for a living, okay, but you would easily trade this if this was the old Match Game, okay, and we could list, like the first, second, third, $500, $300, $200. Sports talk would be $200. You would want either music or cooking, okay, to be either 300 or 500.
No, I would. Sports, music would be first. Sports would be second. The cooking thing, at another life, it was there.
Okay.
But restaurant work's too hard. Those people grind.
Okay.
That's hard work. That is.
I
Even
wasn't
if you own a restaurant, I'd rather just cook for free. I've learned that I don't want any part of that. It's just too hard.
Well, Mark, you know how fond of you I am, but I was not thinking of you grinding away in a restaurant. I was thinking more along the line. I mean, like us. Are we grinding? No, we're not grinding. We're talking for a living. Okay. I was thinking more about you doing a cooking show.
Ooh.
You're right. Something like that.
I did have my Food Network show all planned out.
I'm aware of that.
When it was the the next Food Network star, I had my show. I had the 3 segments. I was all in.
Right. And let's once again, now I'm going to hold your feet to the fire.
No, that's number 1.
Right. We go back to the Match Game. We're in third, aren't we? Yes.
Yes.
So,
and I'm very happy. But you know what? Sometimes third place is okay.
I agree. So in other words, we're the Big 12. Okay, we're the Big 12, and cooking and music, one is the Big 10 and one is the SEC.
I think you're on to something there.
And we've had to expand this show, much like the Big 12. We've had to expand this show in order to survive. We're not just in Southwest Florida anymore. We've had to, get into Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte and Venice.
And we had to go back to adding a 4th hour just to keep things going.
Right. We really are the Big 12. Now, if only we could find our Fox or ESPN.
And think about that. We are the Big 12 because we are on some Fox stations.
Yes.
We are on some ESPN stations.
That is true. That is
so we
true.
very much are the Big 12. Maybe I should start supporting UCF a little more.
It's just a thought. It's just a thought. So I found that out during the break, ladies and gentlemen, that Mark was, as he said, boy, good thing you booked such a good show, because otherwise I would have derailed the whole thing talking about what I wanted to talk about.
And I didn't. I left Fat Bottom Girls to the bonus hour. Right. And whatever bottom of the girl you have, you need to buy something at the Diamond District for her. That's where you go to buy your stuff. Todd and Jason. Hum a tune when you walk in if you want to.
In fact, maybe walk in playing, Fat Bottom Girls.
Maybe you'll get a bigger discount. Bring a boombox.
How about just a phone with an app?
It'd be more fun if you walked in like you were in the 80s, carrying it over your shoulder.
There's no doubt. You walk in like John Cusack. I don't know how they don't give you 10% more off. In fact, you walk in like John Cusack saying Miller and Moulton sent you. We'll pay the damn difference if they don't. Tell you right now. I want video.
Spending my money.
Now I want video though. I want proof.
Well, if they walk in, trust me, there's closed circuit TV. If there's any place where there are cameras, I guarantee you there are cameras inside the Diamond District. At least I hope so.
Well, and also let's face it, if you walk in with a boombox and you say Miller and Moulton sent this, either Todd or Jason's going to call Mark and go, seriously? That's what you told them to do? Thanks. Really appreciate it.
14 people walk in with In Your Eyes playing full blast today.
I'd be incredible. Would be phenomenal. 13 In Your Eyes and 1 Fat Bottom Girls. Come on, line up. Figure it out. First off, are there 14 people in Southwest Florida who still have a boombox?
Yes, I would say yes. It's an older community. And somewhere in garages, they use them for the hurricanes, David. They still got to have a radio around here.
Well, I mean, if they're, we got 14 Jay Seversons because, he still brings it out on the golf course with him. So
I wonder if he upgraded finally to one of those Bushnell speakers or if he's still going 1984 with his music.
I'll bet you he's got both. I'll bet you he's upgraded, but he's got it in the garage if he needs to break it out.
The garage, the basement for men in Florida, where you can escape the family to go listen to your sports talk shows, your games, and have the occasional cold beverage.
to admit now I want to get in the car. Okay, now I got to fly first. I want to fly, get in the car. In fact, I want to change my flight. I want to fly into RSW, and I want to go to Todd and Jason today and walk in with a boombox.
I just hope someone listened to the show when you walk in so they're not all caught completely off guard.
Right. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It's expected at some point today, the Rays and Wander Franco are going to have to, sign new paperwork extending this paid leave of absence. Because I don't think either side, certainly not Wander Franco's side, is not going to agree to it being unpaid. It'll be interesting to see if the Rays try to go that route. That will likely get some grief from the union and what have you. So, will it make any real difference with the Rays as to what they do? I as best we could tell, no. That they're going to have them on the list where they could still have them replaced on the roster. And, David Samson fully expects, by the way, forget whatever the final verdict is. But he says even if there is not a complete investigation done before the end of the season, he does not expect to see Wander Franco back with the Rays this season, unless an investigation can be concluded fairly quickly, which exonerates him.
And that doesn't seem to be in line with anything that we're hearing out of the DR to how long this will take.
And the other matter worth paying attention to is there are reports, there are rather loud whispers that the ACC may schedule an expansion vote today. And as we've learned, they don't schedule these votes unless they have the votes. Let me just say that have the votes. And you're against this expansion, correct?
Yes.
Push comes to shove, you're against
I
it.
am.
Okay. But let's just say you're in the minority. How many you want? Who do you want? Do you just want to stop with Stanford and Cal?
I would just stop with Stanford and Cal. I don't need SMU. I don't like this expansion, but if you're going to tell me that you have the votes and you're the UNC president's in front of me right now or on the phone with me saying, hey, I'm voting this in. Don't know what to tell you. We've got the votes.
I would not stop with just Stanford and Cal. Now, it is interesting to me that apparently the ACC has no interest in Washington State and Oregon State. I mean, even the Washington State president came out over the weekend and said that. He said, we have three options. We could try to piece the Pac-4 and make it a Pac-10 or 12 again. We are going to have to go to the Mountain West, or we're going to have to go to the American. I mean, the ACC is apparently not an option for Washington State and Oregon State. I just find that interesting. Mark, with that in mind, I actually, if I'm expanding, I want SMU.
You like the idea of getting into Texas, don't you?
I do. And not only that, I'm getting into Dallas. Hey, look at TCU less than 15 years ago, where they were. And look at where they are now. Okay. Look at what's happened in Waco, Texas with Baylor, which was always literally a member of the SWAC and the Big Eight. Why? Because they got dragged along, not because they were any good. I mean, they were damn near Vandy.
They were Vandy and Northwestern. They were just there to get beat.
Right. And now look at them in the major sports, football and both basketballs. So, yeah, I would actually want them.
Would you stop with 3?
No, I don't think you can stay with an odd number. I think, and now I got a year to figure out who the fourth's going to be. I'm really tempted, and I know this is going to hurt my argument. I'm really tempted to add South Florida. And I know they're not ready yet, but I am telling you, Florida State's leaving, and Miami's not going to stay either. I think I'm adding South Florida now, expecting them in the next 2 years to leave.
So you'd take them over a UConn or whomever else is out there?
Yes, I would. That's just me. And then I'm in California, Texas, and I'll be in Florida no matter what. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ten seconds.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. All coming up next segment here on Miller and Moulton during the Diamond District bonus hour edition. Thanks so much for being with us. By the way, those covering the ACC expansion story that we were talking about a moment ago say that it is apparently Stanford, Cal, and SMU or nothing. That's the latest report that I read, that it'll be either 3 or 0, or there won't be a vote. So if that's the case, then SMU has really improved their stock in the last week or so, because it was seen originally as this was a Stanford Cal story, and SMU was a dark horse way on the outside. They're not being seriously considered, and now apparently they're of equal footing, which, anyway, it's an interesting story to pay attention. It's kind of like keeping up with celebrities through, tabloids and thinking that you've got the story. That's what conference realignment at times, Mark, feels like to me.
Twitter is that tabloid that promotes the conspiracy theories of conference realignment on a regular basis.
But even, the reporters that are giving you their cheat sheet, if you will, short version of their story with a link to their real story, even what they post, it's just, sometimes I feel as if I'm I don't know, like I'm reading the National Enquirer. That's what conference realignment at times feels like to me. It's like, really? Is so-and-so really cheating on her? Seriously? Or is this just a way to, sell some magazines? That's all. I mean, are Harry and Meghan really miserable in California? Are they really being shut out or not, Mark? I want to know. I mean, is Cal and Stanford and SMU legit or not? I mean, I really want to know. I don't want the crap. Okay, like
well, that's all you're getting right now.
Right. Like right now, you go through the supermarkets, and one of the tabloids has a picture of Sandra Bullock, and she's done. Okay, she's left her longtime mate. Yeah, he died of ALS a week ago. Okay, I mean, come on now. Obviously, the story's not true. She was by his side, holding his hand. Okay, come on now. Give me some stuff. Give me some info. Get a better housekeeper as a source, okay?
But you are the housekeeper. You've said flat out, the only thing to pay attention to is there a vote?
Right.
That's all that matters. If there's a vote, the ACC is expanding. It's that simple.
Right. And if there's no vote, there's nothing. By the way, some other meetings you should pay attention to. Apparently, two things about the college football playoff quickly. One, Greg Sankey's hell-bent on making sure there aren't 6 automatic conference champions that get bids anymore. He's going to knock that sucker down to 5. I have a feeling he's going to be successful. And, apparently this college football playoff committee trying to, negotiate the new TV deal. And all the networks are looking at them going, you think we're going to pay you what? You're out of your mind. Apparently, they are like serious coin apart. I mean, this is like trying to acquire James Harden from the Sixers. And Daryl Morey's asking for, and you're like, wait a minute, he's an old fat guy. Well, I thought you're giving him away. Giving him away? What are you kidding? I want your best young player and 2 first-round picks. So it is interesting that the networks who have no problem, by networks we mean Fox and ESPN, who have no problem throwing money around to move teams from one conference to another, are now looking at some of the suits and going, wait, you expect us to pay how much to televise that game? Yeah, I don't think so.
Will NBC get into the college football playoff game?
Totally. Absolutely. Has anybody noticed, and I don't know who watches network television anymore, so I have no idea if you see when a network's really pumping something, whether you see it anymore. But if you've watched a little bit, just a little bit of NBC in the last 3 months, they are pumping them out of the Big Ten.
Yes, they are. They
spent-
are all about rebranding that brand with their letters.
Yeah. They're all in. All in. First off, they went and, they pulled Todd Blackledge away from ESPN. Man, they paid him to do it. I mean, they just didn't say, hey, come on, we'll just better travel. No, no, they paid him. All right, he got a nice raise, is the word in the industry. They went and got a rising broadcaster, pulled him away from another network, Noah Eagle, Ian Sun, who also does Clippers games. And Maria Taylor, and a nice crew, by the way. Love the Joshua Perry hire away from the Big Ten Network to put on their set. Love him. Had him on the show. Don't know if we can get him anymore. He's gotten so big. And they are going to try to do with Saturday night what they've done with Sunday night.
What a risky proposition. It's not a good television night. Sunday night's a great night. But
right.
You're competing with other. It's not like ABC isn't going to have a game. It's not like ESPN doesn't have a game. It's not like there are other games going on.
But I think also what they're trying to do, and I don't know if the sports fan, never mind the college football fan, cares about this anymore. But, NBC goes through the whole day's games and then leading into theirs. I think what NBC is going to try to do also beginning at 7 is to kind of wrap up the day in college football thus far and then transition you into, hey, we still got one more Big Ten game that's pretty important here. And beginning next year, in theory, they can get USC and maybe some other. Between Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and USC, don't you think if you're the Big Ten, you have to appease Fox at noon, CBS at 3:30, and NBC at 7:30? Don't you think between those 4, you can do that every week?
Pretty close. Pretty closely.
So, and then it's just a matter of how many, will Wisconsin, Iowa really sell? Can you sell that? Could you sell, will UCLA, is that a curiosity to you at all? Oregon, Washington.
There you go. Oregon and Washington are a better sell than UCLA.
Okay.
I know one's in LA. I get it. I'm not a moron.
Well, but also like if Wisconsin, because where does UCLA play? They play in the Rose Bowl, And so but anyway, NBC going all in. They paid what ESPN's paying for the SEC is what NBC paid to get some weeks the 3rd best game in the Big Ten. And then they put, Maria Taylor, they put, is going to anchor this the way she anchors Sunday Night Football. And they are promoting the heck out of it. And so I'm curious whether or not it will work. But you're right, Mark. It's going to be going up against ABC, ESPN, ESPN2. And they're going to be showing SEC and ACC games. And mostly SEC.
Well, that's the part of this for 2024 I'm most fascinated with is where the ACC ends up. And when you see any of their games besides the ACC network. Clemson and Florida State will get on ESPN. Don't know who else will from that conference.
I don't think, by the way, conference commissioners don't pick up the phone and call and go, I'm sorry, you're going to put an ACC game on ahead of ours? Seriously? Should we check as to, who's the bigger partner? Oh, yeah. Happens all the time. So that's out there as well. No money right now. Network's not offering anywhere close to the money that the college football powers that be want for the college football playoff. Very interesting. Does a streaming service come in high and hard for it?
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Saw an interesting Ryder Cup point made yesterday in which they said, how come Ricky Fowler is assumed as if he's all but in and Keegan Bradley is assumed all but out? Keegan finished 11th. Ricky finished 13th. Okay. And then he kind of went through
24, though, hasn't he? Or 23. I mean, it's a 2-year process of getting the points.
Right. But he also said, by the way, one guy's won a major, the other guy hasn't. Okay. And then he went through and he said, by the way, one guy's got a winning record and the other guy doesn't. And all 3 points that he made were all check marks for Keegan versus check marks for Ricky.
Interesting. Brandon Hagel just signed an extension with the Lightning for what it's worth.
Okay.
8-year, $52 million extension.
Which way, Canada Relief? Them dating or them breaking up?
David only cares about royal messes, not Hollywood messes.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe one actor would cheat on his actress wife for another one. That's shocking to me.
Especially when they're put in steamy situations with all these other beautiful people.
And then I'm equally shocked when they try to, blend a family and it doesn't work. What? Hops, why do you think I mentioned it? And hot together, by the way. Hops, they were. Yep. They had chemistry. Jumped off the screen.
So for my buddy Shmoo, who passed away over the weekend, and his funeral Saturday, I won't be able to go. I will tell everybody his favorite joke. There's these two dogs in line at a bar. One dog says, "Ain't this a bitch?" Other dog says, "Sure hope so. I've been in line for 2.5 hours."
Solid. That is solid. Solid.
I've told that joke to myself 54 times in the last week, and I've laughed every time. Michigan State game, Shmoo and another buddy of mine, Tony Ziner Z, they're in line, the long urinals.
Yep.
Shmoo says, "Hey, Z, I ever tell you about these two dogs?" Z goes, "Yeah." And everybody gets quiet in the bathroom. "Come on, there's two drunks. Come on. They finished the joke. Nobody laughed. And they just turned around and walked out.
Wow.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. We are Miller and Moulton. This is the bonus hour, the Diamond District bonus hour edition on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Seth Everett to join us on the show tomorrow. Beginning next week on Wednesdays, we will welcome Bud Elliott to the show on a regular basis. Right now it is time for...
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
I have a very short list today. 1864 we start. The first Geneva Convention was adopted and signed by 12 nations. 1901, the Cadillac Motor Company is founded. 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt becomes the first U.S. chief executive to ride in a car. Not sure if it was a Cadillac or not. Today in 27, Babe Ruth hits his 40th home run on way to 60. He would hit 20 more home runs in the final, 5 weeks of the season?
Yeah, because there's 6 weeks yesterday left in the season now, and I don't know if the seasons then went.
They didn't go into October, did they?
No.
I thought that was crazy. David, I've been waiting to give you this one since I did this yesterday. Today in 33, Chicago Cubs president William Vex Sr. urges Major League Baseball to incorporate midsummer interleague games and, wait for it, a split season.
Yes!
90 years ago today, David, they were trying for this. They're no closer.
No, they're not.
This one also is for David. Today in 1945, Bob Feller was discharged from the U.S. Navy. I could probably do this 2 days later, but I'll finish the story by saying he would throw a 12-strikeout complete game victory for Cleveland 2 days later. He led Major League Baseball with 1,174 strikeouts from 1939 to 1946, despite serving in the Navy from December of 41 to August 22nd of 1945.
So to review, he pitched in 39, 40, 41, and then the final month of the 45 season.
And then the 46 season. 1,174 strikeouts.
I love the fact it's kind of like when Ted Williams came back from, I think it was Korea. Came back from Korea in the final month of the season, hit 388. He'd been gone for almost 2 full seasons. Came back to the States at 388. His manager at the time said he just did more to set back spring training than anyone ever.
Today in 1959, the American Football League officially named at a meeting in Dallas. The charter members are Dallas, New York, Houston, Denver, LA, and Minneapolis-St. Paul. 1961, Maris hits his 50th of 61 home runs. Think about that. He hits 11 more the rest of the way. Ruth would hit 20 more the rest of the way.
And I believe Roger hit number 61 on October 1st. So I think the season is kind of like this year. That's about how long it went. Remember, the seasons didn't start until like second week of April back in the day.
1964, the Supremes' Where Did Our Love Go reaches number 1. I just hope your mother's still listening, David. That one was for her.
Nice.
Today in 86, Stand By Me, the film directed by Rob Reiner and starring River Phoenix, was released. Today in 88, Later with Bob Costas premiered.
Because Letterman didn't go late enough, see, to 1:35 in the morning. We needed to go later.
89, Nolan Ryan strikes out his 5,000th batter. It would be Ricky Henderson.
There you go.
And in 2007, the Texas Rangers beat the Baltimore Orioles 30-3, the most runs scored by a team in modern Major League Baseball history. Norman Schwarzkopf, Valerie Harper, and Cindy Williams all born today. Carl Yastrzemski's 84, Bill Parcells is 82, Paul Molitor is 67, Mats Wilander is 58, and LaMelo Ball is 22.
By the way, Yaz looks great. Have you seen Yaz?
Yes.
He looks fantastic. He really does. Looks 15 years younger. Looks awesome.
So what did I miss?
Well, I got to be honest. I was sending a text to my wife. We had the heating and air place call me when this started. And so I was sending her a text that said, you know, hey, listen, I can't call right now. We're doing this radio thing. You might want to give these guys a call. So I'm trying to, you know, did you mention today is the very first America's Cup in 1851 and the U.S. won it?
I did not.
Did you mention today in 1864 the International Red Cross was founded?
I did not.
Okay. Right. Wow. So I didn't even have to tell everybody about the heating and air place calling. Althea Gibson became the first African-American on a U.S. tennis tour on this day in 1950. This one's painful, but Zager and Evans today in 1969 end a 6-week run at number 1 with the smash hit in the year 2525.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Oh, I'm going to make Moulton cringe today. And I'll do it with the good. Because Target is selling the Sharper Image Personal Touch Go Massager for $29. And a woman discovered the budget buy on a Target website and went to Facebook to say it looked a lot like the $240 Magic Wand vibrator. That's $210 cheaper, for those of you wondering. Target's product description read, treat yourself to a soothing massage with our Sharper Image Personal Touch Go Massager. This innovative device is designed to relieve tension in your neck, shoulders, and back with its medical-grade silicone cover and relaxing vibration. It's splash-proof for easy cleaning. For the bad, we go to Plantation, where a woman driving a red Nissan Altima crashed into a restaurant and a shopping center, injuring 20. Anybody that was at Thai meal yesterday had quite a surprise at dinner around 6:35 when the Nissan crashed through the front of the restaurant. 9 taken to the hospital. No word on what caused the crash. And the ugly that is trying to turn good. Donato Frateroli and Magda Mazzari are getting married in Italy. They went to get the wedding license, marriage license rather, and then they went out to dinner. They left the passports at home. And that's when their 1.5-year-old Labrador Retriever found Donato's passport and went to town on it.
Oh, no.
Chewed the first 4 pages of the passport, several back pages, and a stamp from Mexico where the couple got engaged a few years ago. They have not yet made it to Italy. The wedding is August 31st, and they are going through emergency channels to try to get Donato the emergency passport that he needs so they can continue their nuptials on August 31st. We will keep you posted.
This is a calamity.
Leave the passports in the safe. A passport's not something that sits on the counter. Not when you have a Labrador. They say he's a good dog, though.
Oh, yes. Yes. It would be a good former dog if I was the owner. I wouldn't kill the dog. I would just find it new owners. That's all.
Dogs eat things. Not the dog's fault. It's their fault. They left it out.
Really?
Yes.
Come on now. Was it in the bowl? Okay. Was it presented?
Is it a dog? Do 1.5-year dogs chew things in the house?
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Okay. I'm not saying that the owner is not blameless, but you're trying to say that the owners got more blame than the dog.
Based on the fact that the fiance has said it's a good dog, I think she left the passports out. That's all I'm reading between the lines in the story. When she goes above and beyond to tell you how good the dog is, she left the passports out, and she's running cover for the dog.
Well, usually in a relationship, okay, the woman does take care of the passports. They go, no, I got it. I'll have our paperwork. Don't you worry.
And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, August the 22nd, 2023.
So, we got baseball. We got everybody playing. One game is nationally televised. It's Boston at Houston. That's on TBS at 8 o'clock. But the Rays are back in action. They're hosting Colorado. They got to win these games, man. This needs to be a home sweep right here. Boom, boom, boom. Take care of business. And Marlins continue their series in San Diego. They've lost 3 in a row. They need to turn things around. Toronto's in Baltimore. That's an interesting series for both teams. First off, the Orioles trying to hold on to their 3-game lead over the Rays, facing a good team, but it's not a playoff team as of today. The Mariners are so hot, they have passed Toronto in the standings by a full game. Toronto's a very good team. In fact, I think Toronto has every bit the record, maybe even a better record than the Phillies. I think Toronto would be a 4 seed in the National League, but they're the 7 in the American League. And they're out. So Toronto and Baltimore, both teams needing wins, and they begin a series today in Baltimore.
I was almost going to make the American League AFC comparison. The problem is that the NFC National League comparison doesn't work when you got the Dodgers and the Braves as good as they are.
Correct. Well, you know what? It might work. Is that like Philadelphia and San Francisco?
Could be.
Although Pat Kirwan's a little worried about San Francisco. A little worried about Purdy's elbow and a little worried about that defense maybe not being what past Niners defenses have been. So keep that in mind as the season's about to play out in, by the way, 16 days. Magic numbers are 4, 9, and 16, Mark. 4 days till week 0. 9 till week 1. I mean, Gators in Utah. Fowler and Herb Street a week from Thursday. And 2 weeks from Thursday, Lions and Chiefs. My, oh, my.
Want to see how Fowler is by the time the U.S. Open's over. He's got like a handful of college football games to do. He's doing what is he doing? Monday night game, on the back end of that in the U.S. Open. There's a lot of broadcasts coming for Mr. Fowler over the course of the next few weeks. He's going to earn his miles, if you know what I mean.
He loves his tennis. And he doesn't, when Summerall did the U.S. Open forever for CBS, he would take the first 2 weeks of the NFL season off. Vern oftentimes did the games with Madden for those first 2 weeks. And then Summerall would, once he was done with the U.S. Open, he'd come back with John on CBS, and Vern would go work with whether it was Bradshaw or whoever. So, not Fowler, man. He takes, he does tennis, and then he gets, on a private plane late Friday night, early Saturday morning, flies in, does the college football game, flies back. He's like Tirico in that respect. They don't get, and Nance, they don't give up an assignment.
No. Ever. It was kind of cute. The Sunday night baseball game, the one thing they did with the Williamsport game is they had a kids cast. And they let them do a little open. And the kids were competent. One kid's going to be in college, the other in high school. And literally they send it back to the booth. And whoever was doing the broadcast, he said, great, another guy out to take my job.
Yeah. Get in line, kid. Get in line.
That's why you don't ever give up the microphone. And Nance never will.
No, they had to pry it away from him. Give the college hoops to Iron Eagle.
If you miss any of the show, go to FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Download any portion you may have missed. Like Pat Kirwan today on the show and Angelique Chengelis. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Seth Everett on the program tomorrow. Thanks for listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor